Time ain't never been this long, So don't come for me unless you sin. Back then a nigga crib was a bando. Black label AP, that's my bando. Tryna light up the streets like a lamppost. Man code, never stunt for the gram though. Damn Sambos, caping for the wrong tribe. Talk fly till you knock counterclockwise. Southside bout mine, take a long drive. Boys line telling tales from the dark side. Right online, you a G in the booth. Cool up, old school with a cool cub. Where I'm from, motto MYOB. Don't need no speech, gotta show me. OT, how they run game for a guard. Before you fall, run the cost of a border wall. Trump wanna kill us, dog, tryna warn them all. Whole government worshiping the morning star. Since age 17, had my arms up. Trill Judah built up like a Ford truck. Young sword tuck, bounce like a large gun. Niggas looking for a sign, it's a storefront. Too many of us lost in the system. Never knew the tribe lost in the scripture. Way before Sean Carter was chick. They poison off village, water with lick, my ninja. I do this hip of my kinfolk, 400 years, what you in for? Hard time ain't never been this long, So don't come for me unless you sin. They say you never said a lie, that's a damn lie. Put us in the boxing ring with our hands tied, and these crooked laws aiming at our headline. Boys still think the truth will get airtime. Everything here happen like in past time. Game past halftime, you ain't asked why. Slave revolt on the ship, make it capsize. Franchise for the final war of mankind. Coons wanna play it's Greek like the Dan tribe. Landslide to a whole nother dimension. Turn up edition, still want us prison. Trump wall gon' have nigga jumping fences. Percentages, I am a thousand with homie. We never change, you an alchemist. Pharisees gone off a power trip, counterfeits. Tell them dug down when the album hit, homie. I do this hip of my kinfolk, 400 years, what you in for? Hard time ain't never been this long, So don't come for me unless you sin.
Nobody try to escape from you? I didn't run, but they never get too far. Oh, Cougar there made it clear.
Shalom, shalom, and shalom, Israel. It's your IG Militian coming at you with a brand new episode of Hebrew Tribes. First off, foremost, all praises to Ahia Shah Ahia, the I am that I am of Exodus 3 and 14, through the name of Yeshua, that's the Messiah, the Savior, Hosanna, Matthew 21 and 9, through the Holy Spirit, which is Kakamawa wisdom, Proverbs 8, 9 and 1. With this one, I don't want to waste no time. I'm going to get right into it. I got a whole lot of information. It took me a long time to even put all this together for y'all. So I really just want to get right into it, y'all. This one will be called ASARETH. NOVUS, ORDO, SECLORUM. Okay? We're talking about the land of ASARETH, but we're also going to be talking about other lands. We're not just going to settle on ASARETH as if it's only about ASARETH. You know what I'm saying? But ASARETH will be a large part of this lesson, yes. So quick disclaimer, this video is not for the faint of heart, the highly opinionated, or irreparably racist. All facts and sources will be posted throughout this presentation, along with scriptures followed by precepts. If you already have your mind made up about the who, when, what, where, why, and how regarding the children of Israel, this is not the video for you. If you are going to come with, it doesn't matter, we're all the same, or the entire Bible's a metaphor philosophy, this video is not for you. It's not for you. This is gonna, I'm not gonna break it down as I'm coming from some high, holier than thou place. I'm bringing it ground level, but if you're not interested in that, you got your mind made up, don't even watch it. Okay? And this is what I'm saying. Basically, get out of your feelings. Basically what I'm saying is get out of your feelings. Okay, this isn't an opinionated video. I make sure that every source I bring out is documented. Okay, this is documented. It's going to be documented research. This is what we call scholarship. We got a lot of y'all so-called woke or whatever. You know, I put up a post yesterday about yesterday was Columbus Day. And a lot of people, black people, really irked me, man. Oh, we just trying to eat. So you gotta wait till they tell you to eat, so you can't make stuff for no other day of the year. Your entire family can't get together no other weekend of the year. But you have to do it on the oppressed day. Then I'm going either, I got paid. I went to their pages. Now let me see what they talking about. On their pages, oh, black power, this and that. I don't believe you niggas, man. I don't believe none of you niggas. How you talking about black power, but you celebrating the same stuff that they gave the slaves? So you can't celebrate your family any other weekend except for Thanksgiving? What was that day built upon? You think if the table would flip and we came and massacred their people and have them celebrate a holiday and enslave them, would they celebrate it? Like I said, do the Jewish celebrate Hitler's birthday? Do you see the Japanese having World War II celebrations? We are the only people that celebrate our own downfall. That's why I say if you want to stay simple, I don't even fight with y'all no more. If you like the simplicity, the twerking and trap music on this side, then you want to turn around and be Malcolm X when somebody gets shot, and then you want to turn around and all year, and then turn around. You want to and be a Christian on Easter. Go do that. Look, I'm not trying to convince none of y'all, man. Nobody. I'm not trying to convince any of y'all. My mission is to give information. That's what the highest sent me for. He sent me to give you the information. If you don't want the information, by all means, unsubscribe, block me, man. I tell people this, I don't say that just to be fly. Block me, okay? And then for my brothers in the knowledge, this isn't no competition, man. I'm not doing this to try to see who know the most about X, Y, and Z. The mission is information. If you got information to add, holler at me. If you don't, then just keep it moving, okay? I'm not with the debates. They got sites and other places and forums for that all throughout the internet. You can go do that over there, okay? So let's get right into it. Romans 12:2. And be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, that ye may prove what is good and acceptable and perfect will of God. So the will of a higher is good, acceptable, and perfect. I didn't say that. Romans 12:2 said it. And this just brings me back to what Harriet Tubman said. She freed 1,000 slaves, but couldn't free 1,000 more. Because when I was seeing y'all sharing the Columbus post, like I said, everybody talking about, oh, this is a day to eat. It's about family. Like she told them slaves, I freed 1,000. I could have freed thousands more if only they knew they were slaves. Because they looking at, oh, well, master giving me chicken, and he give me Sunday off and Xmas and give me good sleeps. But they wasn't looking at the fact master was raping them like he doing today, killing them in the street like he doing today. Okay, and this isn't a shot at all so-called Caucasian or white people, but this is talking about the system that's against us, man. You can't be against this system and still celebrate the holiday that the system gave you, man. Y'all talking about a boycott, man. We was way stronger in the 60s, man. Y'all fight your brother over master today. We're gonna get right to it. Section 1, we're gonna get into the Northern Kingdom versus the Gentiles, okay? Because there's two types of Gentiles, as you see here. You got the Gentiles, the cut off of Israel, the Gentiles that was cut off, Northern Kingdom Gentiles versus the bloodline Gentiles, the so-called foreigners. You had two classes of Gentiles. And you have to understand this before you go into Paul's writings or anything else. There's two classes. You got the Northern Kingdom that was cut off, that was considered to be the Gentiles. And why you might say, well, why were they considered? When you were cut off, you were considered to be not Israel. Because you did something against the law that got you cut off, whether it was not coming to the land for Passover, eating something with his blood. I mean, you look through the law to see the Torah, but you also had bloodline Gentiles. Now, when Christ was talking about sheep not of this fold, he was talking about the Gentiles, but not the bloodline Gentile. He was talking about the Northern Kingdom that were thought to be Gentiles because of their idolatrous ways. We're going to get into it though. Romans 1:16, for I am not ashamed of the gospel of Christ, for it is the power of a higher unto salvation to everyone that believeth, to the Jew first, and also to the Greek. Now, I also want to add an asterisk here, because not only was it, dealing with, the Jew, the so-called Southern Kingdom, which is your Howardite and the ancient, but a lot of the Greeks were Hellenistic Greeks. These were Greek-speaking Hebrews. It's like today, a lot of Hebrews are speaking English. This wasn't our native language. This is a whole different broken tongue that he speaks about in Isaiah 28:11. So Romans 2. So as we see here, the salvation comes to who first? It comes to the actual Israelite first before it even deals with a Gentile. I'll read it again here in Romans 2:9. Tribulation and anguish upon every soul of man that doeth evil, Israelite first, or the Jew first, and also of the Gentiles. So just like the tribulation, we got our judgment first. The judgment of the Gentiles hasn't came yet, but it's coming. And that's what that last video was about, warning the Gentiles about that coming judgment. Now, like I said then, and I'll reiterate now, I don't do these videos for people that's just lollygagging in the world, la-di-da. You think everything gonna be work itself out. No, I do this videos for people to seek knowledge. Okay? So 2nd Baruch 1 and 2. And it came to pass in the 25th year of Jeconiah, the king of Judah, that the word of the Most High came to Baruch, son of Neriah, and said to him, have you seen that this people are doing to me, that the evils which these 2 tribes which remain have done are greater than those of the 10 tribes which are carried away captive? So when Baruch, this is in Jeremiah's day, okay? This is way back in, I believe, 600 BC. He was talking about the 10 tribes that were carried away captive, okay? So he was saying the tribes that remain, because I'm not one to say, oh, Judah did worse than Israel, Israel did worse. They both did bad. The only difference is that the house of Israel, which refers to the northern kingdom, did the wickedness first. When you read through the book of Ezekiel, the prophet was talking about Aholibama and Aholibima. And I know I'm probably killing these names, but one of them referred to the northern tribe, which was the first, the older daughter, and the second one was the younger daughter that referred to the southern tribes that also went off, because most of the prophets were from the southern tribes, okay? And we're gonna get more into that as I go on, but the 10 tribes were carried away captive. A lot of them had already left. So we're gonna get more into that as well too, the history of the northern tribe, the house of Israel, okay? John 10 and 16, and other sheep I have, which are not of this fold, them also must I bring, and they shall hear my voice, and there shall be one fold and one shepherd. Now you gotta understand, for you bloodline Gentiles, if I didn't cover this, the bloodline Gentiles are talking about all the 19 nations, talking about the Elamites, or the Indians, the Moabites, which are the Jordanians, the Palestinians, which are like the Ammonites, the Japhethites, which are like the Asian nations, Ishmaelites, the Arab nations, the Hamites, the African nations, all these nations, including Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, which we're going to get into. All those nations are considered to be Gentiles. By the scriptures, if you're not of the 12 tribes of Israel, you are considered a Gentile, regardless of who you think the 12 tribes are. So we're going to get into that too as well. We're going to get into a lot of things here, so let me continue. But when it says sheep, it's talking about the children of Israel. Where are we at? Isaiah 49 and 6, and this is the one I brought out last video, which some people might have got misconstrued. Well, actually, this is one brother, but I just want to speak in case anybody else got misconstrued on what I was speaking on. And he said, it is a light thing that thou shouldest be my servant to raise up the tribes of Jacob. Jacob had 12 tribes, and to restore the preserve of Israel. Again, speaking about the 12 tribes. I will also give thee for a light to the Gentile, that thou mayest be my salvation unto the end of the earth. That Gentiles is talking about those bloodline nations I was talking about, which I'm going to show you here, okay? These are the bloodline Gentiles. So we do have bloodline Gentiles. They were talked about and dealt with in certain ordinances in different ways in the scriptures, okay? We're going to get into the laws and everything else that had to do with in the history of what happened when we dealt with these nations and how we're supposed to deal with these nations. As it says here, it's supposed to be a light. And as I broke down last video, I'm not going to go over it again. It's about showing them the law. Showing them the law, man. That's what it's about. Not cussing them out, not acting crazy. It's about showing them the law. Whether they decide to follow that law is completely between them and the Father. Has nothing to do with us. We plant seeds. We don't distinguish how they grow. 2nd Esdras 13, 39 through 49. I need all my people to listen to this. But this is one of the basic scriptures we're going to use as we go forward in this video. And whereas thou sawest that he gathered another peaceable multitude unto him, those are the 10 tribes which were carried away prisoners out of their own land in the time of Hosea the king, whom Salmanazar the king of Assyria led away captive. We just read about the captives in 2nd Baruch a couple minutes ago. Okay. away captive, and he carried them over the waters. This is where they went, over the waters. And so they came into another land. But they took this counsel among themselves, that they would lead the multitude of the heathen and go forth into a further country where never mankind dwell. I need to stop again. Never mankind dwell. You either believe that or you don't. I'm not going to debate with you. It said mankind never dwelt there. Now the last time I checked, and the research I've done from Southern Africa to Northern Africa to all the lands the brother's saying that this is talking about, I find where people were there. This is talking about a land where never mankind dwelt. Let me continue. That they might there keep their statutes which they never kept in their own land. And so that also shows that we could keep the law, statutes, and commandments outside of Israel. Because I don't understand you brothers talking about we can't keep this law. And of course we can't keep it how we're supposed to keep it because we're in captivity. That doesn't mean we can't try to keep it. We can't keep the law because we're somewhere else. Our first king ate. What was that about? You know what I'm talking about? So it says, for the Most High hold on. Let me skip nothing. I'll skip one. It said, okay, that they might keep their statutes which they never kept in their own land. And they enter into Euphrates by the narrowest places of the river, for the Most High then shewed signs for them, and held still the flood till they were passed over. Now you gotta understand, he held still the flood. And it's not talking about a flood like in the days of Noah. It's talking about the waters. I just got through last week watching a documentary on Bermuda's Triangle, where they had these great Navy ships with all, even to the 1900s, with all this great technology and all this great, fortitude it was built with, and these ships were getting crushed by those waves over trying to get through the Bermuda Triangle, that area, off of the Amerikkas. You dig what I'm saying? So the Most High had to show signs and hold still water. So this isn't talking about land. Everybody's saying, oh, it's talking about land Africa. No, this is talking about holding still waters so that they can, and had to show them signs. I mean, come on. You got to add it up. You know what I'm saying? It says right here, for the Most High then shewed signs for them, and held still the flood till they were passed over. So he held still those waters. Okay, those waters, that Bermuda Triangle, where all those ships been lost. It's a good documentary. I'm see if I can find it and show y'all, man, because I mean they're looking for ships from 100 years ago still. There was a great way to go, namely of a year and a half. It took them a year and a half. He holds still the flood. We can't just, it's hold the flood. No, it's talking about earth. A year and a half. No, we gonna add it up, man. You know what I'm talking about? It's a year and a half. The same region is called ASARETH. Then dwelt they there until the latter time, and now when they shall begin to come. So they're gonna dwell there until the latter times. We always talk about the last days and the latter time, right? Okay, just like the latter rain, right? So the highest shall stay the springs of the stream again, that they may go through. So when these 10 tribes return, he's going to stay the oceans again, and they're going to go through. Therefore sawest thou the multitude with peace. So they're going to come through peacefully, okay? It said, but those that be left behind of thy people are they that are found within my borders. So before Yahshua comes back, we're going to be within those borders of Genesis chapter 15, I believe 13 through 18. The Most High describes exactly what those borders are. Okay. Now when he destroyed the multitude of the nations that are gathered together, he shall defend his people that remain. So he's going to make a way for us to go back. A lot of brothers want to go back on their own. Again, like I said, people have their own outlook or whatever, but the Messiah said you should not go over the cities of Israel until he returns. So I'm not going to, like I said, I don't think nothing's wrong with visiting. You know what I'm saying? That's not the real Israel, but it's the Gentiles Israel. But at the same time, there's nothing wrong with going there to visit, and if that's what you want to do. But to go down there and live like the Yahweh ben Yahweh and set up your own thing and try to petition the government to get you, no. The Messiah's clear how we gonna get back in there. Okay, and right now I just want to show y'all this video. I'm gonna run this video as a matter of fact, I'm gonna run as I'm talking. Israel to South Africa. You can Google this. I'm gonna have to all these links. I'm gonna have in the description box. I'm gonna repeat that a couple of times, but I have to let brothers know. Okay, this isn't no opinion. This isn't no, oh, I think, I feel, I believe. This is what the Most High said. This is why brothers and sisters operate in a certain way in this truth. Because people all like, why y'all believe this? Why y'all believe that? But then when brothers explain, like they don't want to listen to why. You wouldn't do that in a relationship. You wouldn't ask your woman why she mad and not listen to her explanation, or vice versa. You know what I'm saying? Listen to what I'm saying here. Listen to what the truth is regarding this. It takes 77 days to walk from Israel to Africa, and this is even with the roads put in place today. So not just even walking in a straight line. Having to walk down these roads only takes 77 days. A Hebrew year is 360 days, according to the book of Jubilees and Enoch. 360 days, y'all. So obviously, this is way falls. This isn't even half of a Hebrew year. 77 days, man, to walk from Israel to Africa. I'm showing you the Google Maps. You know what I'm saying? Now, I know that they be playing with the distance and everything, but even if you was to double that, 77, let's double it to 160. That's still way short of a year and a half. So when they said they entered through Euphrates, they went all the way around the continent of Africa, all the way to the Americas, y'all. This is how the people got here. I'm going to get more into the history of it outside the Bible as well, as I show you through these scriptures. Ezekiel 36, 17 through 20. Son of man, when the house of Israel dwelt in their own land, they defiled it by their own way and by their own doings. And by their doings. Their way was before me as the uncleanness of a removed woman. So that's a divorce. Like you divorce, you go do a thing, you're not going to take her back. That's again dealing with the law. Wherefore I poured my fury upon them for the blood that they had shed upon the land, for their idols wherewith they had polluted it. And I scattered them among the heathen, okay? And they were dispersed through the countries according to their way and according to their doings I judged them. And when they entered into the heathen, whither they went, they profaned my holy name. Now, I ain't trying to get back on the name, but you see what I'm saying here. You see what what Ezekiel's saying here. They profaned the holy name. When they said to them, these are the people of the Most High, Ahiah, and are gone forth out of this hand. Okay? So he's talking about the house of Israel now. He's talking about the northern 10 tribes. So you see here the picture, the carving artifacts that brothers love to share. Okay? This is King Salmanazar V. Okay? Another one right here. I'm just going to, just show them as y'all. This is Sargon II. Okay? But now you see with the whitewashed imagery. Okay? Because it's like they whitewashed the Messiah and gave him a new name. They also whitewashed Salmanazar. Okay? And Hebrew Strong 804 Ashur, okay? This is the land that, Assyria was what the northern tribes were dealing with. They were dealing with those tribes over there of Ashur and following those gods, okay? That the northern kingdom, that's the northern part of Israel, right? So you see here the Assyrian king, Hebrew Strong 8022. And you see here again, Hebrew Strong 8022, the end of the northern kingdom, which wasn't the end of them, but it was the beginning of their demise, the end of their reign, of course, in Israel. And this is in the British Museum. That's why I say, brothers, and I realize this, man, all praise to the Father. It seems like America really got to be Mystery Babylon, all this confusion that we got, because when I'm speaking with brothers or dealing with groups and brothers that's coming from the UK, shout out to my brother Robbie, by the way. I know it's been a minute since we talked. I got you, Rob, but shout out to you. Those brothers is on it, man. Those brothers know about the Moors. Those brothers know about a lot of history and things that are new to us. They can look right down in Egypt and Africa and Israel, and the history is right at the doorstep, so to speak. But us over here in the States, we have no clue. Okay, but again, you see the statue here. And again, ASARETH, I want to show this picture. I'm going to show them throughout this presentation. These are the Aboriginals. I know that history has whitewashed a lot of this stuff, but these are the Aboriginals. These are the people that were here and discovered by the so-called Romans and Europeans that came over. I need to burn this back in your memory. I know it's hard, but you gotta get a new wine skin so I can pour this new wine into it. Because obviously you've forgotten. Because even when they had the soccer, I'm gonna say this real quick, I'm gonna keep moving. But when they had the soccer match, I think a year or so ago in Brazil, what they did was they pushed all the indigenous people to the back, the dark-skinned people that look like me, to the back, and brought forth their people from Portugal and Spain and their models and put them in the forefront. So when we see TV is a powerful weapon. It's a weapon of mass destruction. And we see that, and what do? We naturally believe that, hey, that's what the people down there look like. Can't be farther from the truth. Being from the H, I'm from Houston. Like I said, back when I was a teenager, we didn't have cable. You know, I mean, especially preteen, we didn't have cable, especially once I got a TV in my room. So when I used to turn on TV, I just watch whatever channel I can get. And I got bored watching the UPN and WB and the news, so I just started watching the Mexican channels. And the first thing I noticed, like, man, it's black people on there, man. But it was dance videos, and they was, getting it. And I'm looking like, man, the dude's blacker than me. And I'm like, oh, so we out there, bro. But when the cameraman went up to him with the reporting, gave the brother the mic, the brother was speaking Spanish, man. I'm like, okay, so hold on. Is he Mexican? You know what I'm saying? So, but we gonna get more into that. So we gonna get into part B, okay? Because I gotta black wash your mind because it's been whitewashed. And it's not black wash, but it's the truth wash, really. It's the truth. It's the truth, man. Let's get to the truth. You wanna know the truth? I'm gonna give it to you. All of it. I got some heavy stuff I'm finna get into, man. I'm telling you, I told you, they gonna get me for this one. They gonna get me for this one. So Luke 21-24. And they shall fall by the edge of the sword, shall be led away captive into all nations. One more time. Led captive into where? All nations, and Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles until the time of the Gentiles be fulfilled. Got some people that want to say these Gentiles are the northern kingdom. Don't y'all realize that that's Roman Catholic doctrine? Ain't no I ain't gonna say ain't no Israelites, but Israelites ain't over there right now. For the most part. 97% they've already admit. 97% of them are Gentiles. Romans. You're gonna get into who the Romans are. But led away captive, that's not even the part I want to get into. I want to touch it, but captive into all nations, man. All nations. Because I seen this doctrine that, Judah is in Africa and Judah came over here on the slave ships. And it's just, and the northern tribes are still in Africa. I do believe that some of the northern tribes definitely are still in Africa. I do believe that. And worldwide, but I do believe that. But right here it says all nations though. So how you gonna cut off South America? You gonna cut off China? You gonna cut off Indonesia? You gonna cut off Europe? You gonna cut off all these other nations to say, oh no, just Africa and America. Come on, man. That's not all nations. We're gonna get more into it. Matthew 15:21-28. Then Yahshua went thence and departed into the coast of Tyre and Sidon. And behold, a woman of Canaan came out of the same coast and cried to him, saying, have mercy on me, O Lord, thou son of David. My daughter is grievously vexed with a devil. But he answered her not a word. So this is the Gentile, Canaanite, African, so-called a Hamite woman asking for his blessing, and he ignored her. And his disciples came and beside him, saying, send her away, for she cried after us. So when I show this verse to you so-called Gentiles and say, oh, it's just about your belief. If you believe, if you believe, you can achieve, right? If you believe, you can change your nationality into being Israel. Let's keep reading though. I'm not going to speak. I'm going to let the Messiah speak. But he answered and said, I am not sent but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel. So how was her belief making her belief didn't change her nationality? This is New Testament. This isn't Old Testament. He does what the Father does, man. Then came she and worshipped him, saying, Lord, help me. But he answered and said, it is not meet to take the children's bread and cast it to dogs. So he ignored her the first time. The disciple said, send her away. He ignored the second time, saying, I'm sent unto the children of Israel. Then the third time saying, hey, it's not meet to cast the bread meant for the children of Israel to the Jew first, the Israelite first, and give it to the Gentile. He's telling her that I'm sent to the house of Israel. That's what I'm sent for. That's what he said. And then she said, truth, Lord. She's like, yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. Yet the dogs eat up the crumbs which fall from their master's table. Then Yeshua answered and said unto her, O woman, great is thy faith, be it unto thee even as thou wilt. And her daughter was made whole from that very hour. So this is a message to the Israelites too. They believe, man. All praises, man. Bless those brothers and sisters that believe if they not Israel, man. Whoever they are, man. The Messiah did it. Because the Messiah did it. He said baptize all nations, man. He didn't leave any exceptions in that. It's based on if they want this truth and they know the order. He showed her the order. She accepted. She still had the faith. She got blessed. That's how it should go, man. That's how it should go. And there's nothing unrighteous about that. Isaiah 56, 3-8. Neither let the son of the stranger that had joined. So now we're talking about the bloodline Gentile, not the northern kingdom, but the actual bloodline Gentile. Because I go through this because when I was speaking with those Mormon brothers, they thought they were the house of Israel. You know what I'm saying? Weren't the house of Israel, but that's what they were claiming. They were claiming that there are these lost 10 tribes. And that's what a lot of you house of Israel brothers I'm gonna get into later. Y'all need to go worry about who taking your authority in this truth, as far as what the Messiah has given upon you. When he said he came to be a light to you and bring you back into the fold. That's who you need to. You don't need to be attacking brothers in Judah and Benjamin and Levi. You need to go and not even, I say attack, but you need to go edify these people, man. They really think that they're northern tribe. The brother actually, he didn't argue I wasn't Judah. He didn't argue that. He argued that he was the northern tribes, man. So while y'all on my post and on my blogs fighting with me, the so-called enemy, you know what I'm saying, has totally taken your heritage out, man. Neither let the son of the stranger that had joined himself unto Ahiah speak, saying, "Oh, Ahiah, saying Ahiah had utterly separated me from his people." Neither let the eunuch say, "Behold, I am a dry tree." For thus Ahiah unto the eunuchs that keep my Sabbath and choose the things that please me and take hold of my covenant, that's the law, even unto them I will give in mine house and within my walls a place and a name better than of sons and daughters. Okay? I will give them an everlasting name that shall not be cut off. So if they believe, if these nations that don't identify as Israel believe the Most High and keep the covenant, the law, they're good. According to Isaiah, man. People tell me we never deal with that. We did deal with the strangers because we wouldn't have laws to deal with the strangers. I'm gonna get into it. Also, the sons of the strangers that have joined themselves into the Most High to serve him and to love the name of Ahiah, to be his servants. Everyone that keepeth the Sabbath from polluting it, the Sabbath, you see, keep bringing up the Sabbath. I'm going to things later on. From polluting it and taketh hold of my covenant, even them I will bring to my holy mountain and make them joyful in my house of prayer. Their burnt offerings and their sacrifices shall be accepted upon mine altar, for mine house shall be called an house of prayer for all people. The Most High Ahiah hath gathered the outcast of Israel, saying, yet I will gather others to him besides those that are gathered unto him. This is the Father's words, man. That's why I made that video. That's why I did it. For those that are outside of those others. That's who I did it for. The righteous, the truth seekers. Isaiah 11, 12, and 13. And he shall set up an ensign for the nations. This is the verse where a lot of Israelites go left. And shall assemble the outcast of Israel and gather together the dispersed of Judah from the four corners of the earth. The outcast of Israel and gather together the dispersed of Judah. That's in the same sentence. There's no period there. The thought continues, man. There's only a comma there. And if you look at English, I had an English teacher and she was a beast. She was a beast. And if you're going to write properly, you're supposed to put a comma before and or. You're supposed to, or but, and or but. Those are articles. You're supposed to put a comma before. So the sentence never stops. It's saying the outcast of Israel and the dispersed of Judah. It's talking about both tribes. Both houses of tribes. Because the southern kingdom and the northern kingdom. Okay? The envy of Ephraim shall depart, and the adversaries of Judah shall be cut off, Ephraim shall not envy Judah, and Judah shall not vex Ephraim. I cut off so many of them that vex me. Straight up. And and vice versa. The Judas that always want to jump, I don't deal with them neither. I don't deal with them. And as I go through this lesson, you're going to see why. Because there shouldn't be no vexing between either one of y'all. Brown people fighting each other is how Esau got in control in the first dang place, man. That's how it happened. We helped white supremacy. Yes, we helped our enemy that was against us, that when it said raise Jerusalem even to the foundation, we helped them rise up from our ignorance and our foolishness. We need to repent, man, as a nation, straight up. Deuteronomy 24:64. And Ahiah shall scatter thee among all people, not just Africa and the United States. Let me read that again. And the Most High, Ahiah, shall scatter thee among all people, and shall assemble, I'm reading the other verse. Scatter thee among all people from one end of the earth, even until the other. So from one end to the other. So he see how clear he is. All people, one end to the other. Not just Africa and America. And there thou shalt serve other gods which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone. The wood is the cross, the stone is the Kaaba stone of Mecca, as I've covered many times before. Isaiah 43:1, okay, 11 and 12. But now thus saith the Lord that created thee, O Jacob. Who? O Jacob, the 12 tribes. And he that formed thee, O Israel. Fear not, for I have redeemed thee. That word redeemed is that has a root word of Yasha. That means to save, Yeshaya. I have called thee by name, thou art mine. Even I am the Most High, and beside me there is no Savior. That means outside of what the Father is doing, there's no Savior. There's no salvation in Buddha. There's no salvation in Islam. There's no salvation in Christianity. Okay? When you get down to it, the salvation comes from the Father. I have declared and have saved, and I have shewed when there was no strange God among you. Therefore ye are my witnesses, saith the Lord, that I am Elohim, or Elohim. So he's saying you are the witnesses, the 12 tribes. Remember the brother in the Mormon video, if you haven't seen it, go watch it. He kept saying, well, who is the stick of Ephraim and Judah? I'm talking about the 12 tribes, man. It wasn't talking about Gentiles that conquered us. It was talking about the original people. This isn't my words. Again, this is the word. If I sound boastful, I'm not boasting in myself. I'm boasting the Most High, because this is so plain to me. Now I want it to be plain to you. That way we can get on one accord. Okay, so let's keep it moving. Acts 1:8. But ye shall receive power. After that the Holy Spirit is come upon you, and ye shall be witnesses unto me both in Jerusalem and in all Judea and in Samaria and unto the uttermost part of the earth. Why would we need to be witnesses unto the uttermost parts of the earth? Praise the Most High for the internet. Cause now we can reach everywhere till they shut it down. You better get right while we got it. Better use it. You know what I'm saying? So this is what we called to do, man. Be witnesses, man. Some of y'all witnessing for a whole different God, man. I'm not dealing with y'all. Isaiah 45:1. Thus saith Ahiah to his anointed, to Cyrus, whose right hand I have holden to subdue nations before him. I will loose the loins of kings, to open before him the two lead gates, and the gates shall not be shut. So those two lead gates, again, northern, southern. He opened those gates up through the Gentile Cyrus. So there's going to be some Gentile kings and queens and people in high places that, like it also says about the ships of Tarshish, they're going to be bringing us back into the land. Not all the Gentiles hate us, man. There's a remnant that's going to be dealing with us, man, righteously, as the Father has said, not me. Not because I'm trying to cape for somebody, because the Father said it, man. And I noticed this, when people can't get through these scriptures, when people don't go to these scriptures and can't break down these scriptures, they attack the speaker that brings them out. That's what happens, man. But we're not going to worry about negativity on this. Exodus 12 and 38. It says, and the mixed multitude went up also with them, and flocks and herds, even very much cattle. So we didn't come out of Egypt with with ourselves. We actually came with other nations. It says a mixed multitude. It's talking about, and that word there is Arab. Arab means to mix. So it wasn't just us. That's why we had a law for the stranger. Why would we need a law for the stranger if it was only 12 tribes? We wouldn't need no law for the stranger because we wouldn't have been dealing with them. So there's a righteous way to deal with them. Let me continue with how we dealt with the stranger. In the law. You know what I'm talking about? Brothers be talking about we didn't deal with the laws of the book of Acts. And I understand what they're saying as far as the new covenant goes, which that's true. I can't knock that. But saying we never dealt with them, you see, he just blessed Cyrus, man. That shows that he'll deal with the Gentile that's after his hour. He'll deal with him. It's the Father's will, man. That doesn't take away from the house of Israel or Judah. It doesn't take away from any of us. That shows that his man, he's doing it for us. But we're going to get into that jealousy thing though too, man. Leviticus 25, 47 and 48. And if a sojourner or stranger, which means not of Israel, wax rich by thee, and thy brother that dwelleth with, and thy brother that dwelleth by him wax poor, and sell himself unto the stranger or sojourner by thee, or to the stock of the stranger's family, after that he is sold, he may be redeemed again. One of his brethren may redeem him. Because what would happen was if you got poor, just like how what the Irish went through, when they got poor, they had to sell themselves in that servitude with their European brother. We did the same thing in our land. When we got poor, we had to sell ourselves into servitude. Okay, like I can't pay this debt off, so just let me work for you for X amount of time to pay the debt off. And that's I think what they call that indentured servitude. This was our indentured servitude. But if we had to do that with a stranger, right? Your brother could come and, hey, pay off this debt. Boom. Let my brother free. I'll pay you off. But the Most High was saying, in this servitude we're dealing with, we're not gonna be, there's not gonna be nobody to buy us out of it except for Yeshua, the Messiah, man. Nobody's gonna bring you out of this. Okay? Deuteronomy 23 and 20. Unto a stranger thou mayest lend upon usury. What usury means is interest. Okay? And it wasn't crazy interest. You couldn't, do 300% or nothing like that. Okay? But if you lend with a stranger, you could use interest. But unto thy brother thou shalt not lend upon usury, that Ahiah thy power may bless thee in all that thou settest thine hand into the land, whether thou goest to possess it. So unto thy brother, you shouldn't lend with usury. When your brother loan you $500, but you got to pay him back 5 cents on the dollar, you're not supposed to do that. You know what I'm saying? Not supposed to do that. That's why they do that with us. And we wonder why these nations get so high up. They're following this law for themselves. You know what I'm talking about? Like, I'll give you an example. My dad lived next door to some Chinese people, so-called Japethites, you know what I'm saying, the Asian nation. When they go to school, and this is what I found out over the years, when they go to school, the uncle, the brother, the dad, the mom, all gather up their savings. They're really good with saving too. They don't spend everything on Gucci and Prada and Fendi, but they gather all that stuff together, right? And that child that goes to school, they lend the money to that child. That child uses that money, goes to school, gets through school, you know what I'm saying? Not partying, gets through school, graduates, gets a job, pays them back the same amount. That way they never have to deal with the banks. That's why their credit is so good. Why you think Chinese people be buying up blocks in the hood, bro? Y'all gotta peep game, man. We don't keep this law, man. You can't even talk with most of us about money. We won't even support our own businesses, man. That's another video for another time. Where am I? That's a law dealing with the stranger. Saying you could deal with your brother like this, but don't deal with the stranger. We dealt with the strangers back in Deuteronomy. There were laws for them. Deuteronomy 14 and 21. Ye shall not eat of anything that dieth of itself. Thou shalt give it unto the stranger that is in thy gates, that he may eat it, or thou mayest sell it unto an alien. For thou art an holy people unto a higher thy power. Thou shalt not seethe a kid in his mother's milk. So he's saying something die of itself. Like if you riding a deer just die of itself, you couldn't just be like, oh, I'm finna eat this. No, you could sell that, but you can't, or give it to a stranger, but you couldn't eat that yourself. The Most High didn't want you to. It may not be nothing wrong with it, but this is the law, y'all. This is the law. This is what he said, man. As far as, I mean, nothing wrong with it as if it's sickly or something like that. It might just die. You know what I'm saying? Heart stop beating. But you see, 1616 Gur, Strong's Concordance, sure, stranger. 5237 Nokri. That's a foreign alien. It says here non-Israel in that verse 14 and 21 of Deuteronomy. Hebrew Strong 8453 Toshab. That's a sojourner. So all these words were different words for people that were not Israel. Okay, we wouldn't need these words if we wasn't dealing with them. If it wasn't the way we were supposed to be dealing with them. Y'all see what I'm saying? Because if you notice, every time I get into, or in the past when I've gotten into, I don't do it no more, the brothers never want to go back to the scripts. They want to talk about me and how I look and, you know, because I'm doing this, I'm doing that, but they never want to look at the doctrine, man. That's why I seem so strange to them, because they're not following. That's why it's strange to you, because you're not following this. A lot of Israelism. But we need to come back to the Father and what he said, man. Not what man has put in front of us. Our feelings, our emotions. Jeremiah 32 and 27. Behold, I am the Most High, the Elohim of all flesh. Is there anything too hard for? Is there anything too hard for me? So the devil didn't create any nation. To me, okay. Now this is a little bit of my opinion. Maybe maybe you don't agree, but it lines up with this scripture I just read. When you say the devil created a nation, it's almost like, you giving the devil power to create people. Saying that the devil can create people when the Most High said he is the Elohim of all flesh. Maybe he created them for destruction. Not saying that all flesh is going to make it into the kingdom. Of course, that's not what I'm saying. But how you going to give the devil credit for something that the Most High said he's the Elohim of? You got to answer that to the Father, man. Acts 10 and 35. And this is, for the righteous Gentile, the truth-seeking Gentile. Continue on, man. Continue on, okay? Because the Father wouldn't be having the prophets write this just to, exercise their writ, okay? Acts 10 and 35. But in every nation, he that feareth him and worketh righteousness is accepted with him. So in every nation, every nationality that we see, he has a people. And I've seen this myself. The message I get, I have to look at the profile picture twice, like, you sure you got the right channel? You know what I'm saying? I know a lot of people like Joel Osteen and T. Jakes and Benny Hinn, but I don't preach that feel-good gospel, man. I preach the real gospel. Or that false gospel, I should say. But yeah, man, I've seen, like I said, people of all nations, man, be like, hey, this is the truth. This isn't me, man. Keep telling you I'm just a vessel. I'm not doing this on my own accord. Okay? I got some things I'm going to get into. Let me continue. Acts 2 and 36 through 38. Therefore, this is when Peter was baptizing the 12 tribes. I'm going to show you. Therefore, let all the house of Israel, now we said the house of Israel was the northern kingdom. Let all the house of Israel know assuredly that Ahiah hath made the same Yeshua, whom ye have crucified, both Lord and Christ. Now when they heard this, they were pricked in their heart, and said unto Peter and to the rest of the apostles, Men and brethren, what shall we do? Then Peter said unto them, Repent and be baptized, every one of you, in the name of Yeshua HaMashiach for the remission of sins, and ye shall receive the gift of the Holy Spirit. Well, we says Holy Ghost, but if you look up that word, it's Holy Spirit, the Ruach Kodash, the Holy Spirit, man. So he's talking to all the house of Israel. Because I'm going to show you there were some of the house of Israel in the land during that day. Not many, but there were some. Okay, I'm going to show you from the scriptures, not from me or from a historian, from the book of the Most High, the law and the gospel. Acts 10:28, and this is another thing that it preludes to today. And he said unto them, Ye know that it is an unlawful thing that a man that is a Jew to keep company or come into one of another nation. But Ahia has showed me I should not call any man common or unclean. For y'all bruised calling all these Gentiles common and unclean, if it's not for something that they're doing, you're in error according to this. It has to be for something that they're doing. They're following their gods or a practice or whatever. But call no man common or unclean. He already in Acts 2 and 36 through 38 was baptizing the whole house of Israel. So he wasn't talking about the northern kingdom there. Cornelius was not an Israelite, man. He's talking about a non-Israelite person here. Okay? And then Luke 2 and 36, and there was one Anna, a prophetess, the daughter of Phanuel, of the tribe of Asher. This is the northern kingdom tribe. She was of a great age and had lived with an husband 7 years from her virginity. So again, this is what it's talking about. It's talking about a northern kingdom woman living in the land. So not every single person of the northern kingdom went away. Are y'all following me? Though most of the tribes did leave, there was a remnant there. This is who Paul was talking about when he was talking about the Gentiles that had been cut off. We're going to get into it. We're going to get into it. Okay, so there was some of the northern tribe that was in the land. James 1 and 1. A servant of Ahia and the Lord Yeshua HaMashiach, who the world calls Jesus, to the 12 tribes which are scattered abroad, greeting. Okay, so it even showed that even there we had tribes, even in the book of Maccabees, some of the tribes were living in Egypt. Okay. Jeremiah 50 and 33. Thus saith the Lord of hosts, the children of Israel and the children of Judah were oppressed together. Let me read that again. Thus saith the Most High of hosts, the children of Israel and the children of Judah were oppressed together, and all that took them captives held them fast, and they refused to let them go. So it wasn't just Judah being oppressed, y'all. Yes, I'm Judah. Yes, I would say Southside on every album. But I also do songs. I also do songs for the Northern Kingdom, who I perceive to be part of the Northern Kingdom. Let me put it like that. Who I do songs for them too, man. Okay, I'm just reaching out to the kingdom I'm a part of, but that doesn't mean I'm not reaching out to all 12 tribes. I'm reaching out to everybody. I just understand my household a little bit more. You dig what I'm saying? It's where I came from. So with that being said, you see that we were oppressed together, not separately. Just that the northern tribes left first. That's the only difference, man, which I already showed. So we're going to get into part C, the 12 tribe chart and the confusion, okay? So a lot of y'all in Israel, man, and a lot of y'all in this conscious movement, awakening, whatever you want to call it, a lot of you brothers is lazy, man. You're lazy. And the problem with being lazy is you want a quick fix. Like even y'all get on me, can you just do a quick video? No, man. I'm gonna do these videos like the Most High told me to do them until he tells me different. Until he says, you know, Militian, I want you to do them this way. I will do them that way. As long as he tells me to do them how I do them, I'm gonna do them how I do them. If you don't like it, go find another channel or watch 20 minutes. I'll tell you, you ain't gotta watch the whole video. Watch 10 minutes, whatever you can do. I'm not forcing nobody to watch this stuff. But y'all want that 12, a lot of y'all that are unlearned, y'all want that 12 tribe chart just to be edged in stone and to be a marker for all the children of Israel. And it's not. I'm gonna be the first to tell you, it's not. I don't think every black person is Judah. I don't think every Hispanic person is of the northern tribes. It's not. Why? And brothers come and ask me, well, why are you coming? I go back to the scriptures, man. Do you line up with the Deuteronomy 2 and 28 curses? Do you line up with Leviticus 26? Do you line up with the information I'm bringing? Do you line up with it? Your forefathers? Your forefathers don't line up with it, then it don't matter where you born or what you look like. If you don't line up with this, it's about getting back to the precepts. So let's get it, man. So I'm going to get into the good, the bad, and the ugly. Because it's a good, it's a bad, and it's some ugly. Especially some ugly. But let's get into the good. Philippians 1 through 15 through 18. Some indeed preach Christ, even of envy and strife, and some also of goodwill. The one preached Christ of contention, not sincerely, supposing to add affliction to my bonds, but the other of love, knowing that I am set for the defense of the gospel. So you got brothers that be on the corners and they preaching madness. You got brothers be on the corners preaching righteously. You can't throw them all in the same bucket. Some of them are out there doing it in love. Shout out to y'all brothers, man. Brothers online, some of them are doing it out of strife and contention. You seen the camps I dealt with, even face to face. You seen what I went through, one deep. You know what I'm saying? So you see that, but then you see I'm preaching a message of what? A message of truth in love. So that's what Paul's saying here. What then? Notwithstanding every way, whether in pretense or in truth, Christ is preached, and therein I do rejoice, yea, and will rejoice. So, you know, even though those brothers in the corner, yeah, like I said in the video I did, the Destroy for Lack of Knowledge, which is my highest viewed video, 40-something thousand views. Those, like I had the clip of the brothers on the corner, but what I liked about it is that they were showing him his culture doesn't match the Jewish brother who walked up, doesn't match what the Bible says. Now, I wouldn't have brought it out in that way. I would have actually brought it out a different way, but it would have been the same message, that you're not the people that you think you are. You're not. You've taken this and imposed it on yourself as your forefathers imposed it on themselves. You know what I'm saying? But they brought out the message. Okay? So that's just an example there. Okay? Matthew 23:3. All therefore whatsoever they bid you observe, that observe and do. But do ye not after their works, for they say and do not. This is what I'm saying. The brothers in the corner, when they saying some of the things that they're saying. Matter of fact, I just got off the phone with my a walk. You know, I baptized, all praise to the Most High, Ahia in the Corpus Christi. You know what I'm saying? In the body of Christ, the body of Yeshua, out there in the ocean. And he was talking about, he ran up on this certain sect of brothers in Israel. And he was like, hey man, these brothers, they had some knowledge, you know, when they first started speaking, but as they kept going on, they went off, you know. But he was like, the stuff that they said that was right, I kept that and spit out the bones. And that's what you gotta understand. These Pharisees and what some might call a super brew or whatever, like, yeah, they be off in the way they act. That's what Christ said. Yeah, they off. Do not you after their acts. But if they bid you something that's in the scriptures, just because they're jerks doesn't change that the scriptures is correct that they brought out. Like if they say a man shouldn't lie with a man, but then they sit up here and go and curse somebody out. Will they run for cursing somebody out? Absolutely. Absolutely shouldn't be happening. You should have to curse somebody into the truth. I believe that since the beginning. I still believe that. But at the same time, if they say a man shouldn't lie with a man, they correct. Don't throw that out because you don't like how they acting. They said they spoke the truth right there. But they get into the bad. So we got the good. That's the good of it. Let's get into the bad. Sirach 20:19-20. An unseasonable tale will always be in the mouth of the unwise. A wise sentence shall be rejected when it cometh out of a fool's mouth, for he will not speak it in due season. So when these brothers show the 12 tribe chart, right, and they say, oh, you Mexico, you Issachar. So that means that a European from Spain could fly down to Mexico, meet a woman, or bring his woman, better yet, have him in Mexico and it is a car. And that
That's funny.
That's what these brothers, some of these brothers think. Just because you born there. And it's like, look, man, it goes back to the curses and the prophecies that fit these tribes, man. Just because you born in Mexico don't make you Issachar. You could be Judah in the land of Mexico. You could be Issachar in the land of Africa. You know what I'm saying? But They just, like, again, unseasonable, man. Unseasonable, because a lot of these brothers, and not to even joke on this, but a lot of these brothers, they be saying that for the I gotta agree with some people that say they do it for the money. They figure if I could just say, hey, well, you're Israel, you're this and that, I could bring you in and get your money. That's what a lot of these organizations is about. They about money, man. And that's sad, man. This really is sad. But another part of the good that I didn't touch is that a lot of people say they came into the truth because they seen the 12 tribe chart. Even though they seen it wasn't edged in stone, it was just something that was brought out. But they seen that, oh, hold on, our people are something special. You know, because I do believe, like I showed you in second Esdras, yes, the northern tribes went to a land where never mankind dwelt, past the Euphrates. So, unless you talking about, you know, somewhere across, it gotta be across water that took a year and a half, man, period. So yeah, but it's unseasonable when it comes out of the mouth of these people that's yelling and cussing. The ugly. How long, ye simple ones, will ye love simplicity and scorns delight in their scornings, and fools hate knowledge? Proverbs 8:5. O ye simple, understand wisdom, and ye fools be of an understanding heart. Okay, because what happens is, when these brothers act ugly, it turns people from the truth completely. They're like, I don't care, even if they are right, I don't want nothing to do with that. Because I figure if I believe like they believe, I'm agreeing with how they act, even if that's not true. Like Dave Chappelle had a great quote. He's like, just because you disagree with somebody don't mean you hate them. And just because you agree with somebody don't mean you agree with everything that they say. You have to agree with everything I say. I want you to agree with what the truth is, man. But Proverbs 14:15. The simple believeth every word, but the prudent man looketh well to his going. So when you see that chart and you just think, oh, that's what it is, that's your problem. That's just like Christianity. He knows my heart. We're all the same. He loves everybody. None of this is in scripture, but if you go to a Christian say this, they'll be like, amen. Amen, brother. Father God. Let's start praying. Father God, thank you so much. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to clown, but that's what I'm saying, because they're not reading that. Okay, hold on. If you love the Most High, according to his son, the Messiah, John 14:15 says, keep my commandments. Are you keeping the commandments? What are the commandments? Have you read the Torah? Have you read the law? The law and the commandments is the same thing. But that's what I'm saying. When you go on with, that chart, that's what it is, and you just run with it. No, it says the simple believeth every word. You gotta look into what these brothers is bringing out. Like I tell y'all, look at what I'm bringing out. Yes, some of the northern tribes were already here. That doesn't mean everybody over here is today of the northern tribes. You gotta go back to the scripts, back to the curses and the forefathers. Curses, forefathers. If that don't line up, they're not of Israel, man. Not saith Militian, saith the higher, man. So right now I'm gonna get into this foolishness. It's brother Donald Tabor, right? Hooked up with the brother named Brother George. And they basically do just what I just said. They threw the whole thing out because they was trying to convince some of their Pharisee friends that they grew up with, or that he grew up with, convince them of, there's a place for the stranger, because he's a stranger. But these brothers were identified as Israel based on that chart, man, and they weren't. One of the brothers, Donald, his dad is an Edomite, a so-called Idumean or a Roman, Esau. The other brother, his dad is Irish, also Esau. But because they were just running with that chart and not going with who is your bloodline father, right? And where your people were his forefathers and so forth underneath these curses, they weren't running with that. They were running with this, and this. And these brothers thought that they was Israel and got told that they wasn't Israel. And they turned around and now they're doing damage to the truth. Do you see what I'm saying about that chart, y'all? Do you see what I'm saying? Because when I made my second, I believe, I say it, take it back. My third video, I went to the areas of the chart. And that's why I did the second video on the areas outside of the chart, which was, again, destroyed for lack of knowledge. I played a few clips. That's my highest viewed video. All praise to the Father. But that's the reason why I did it, to show that, hey, I'm not stuck with what these brothers saying. I'm just looking at what they're saying and seeing what lines up and what history and the scriptures say. Because that's what we got to get back to. But I want to show these clips, man. Y'all check this out, man. This is the ugliness of that chart. This is what happens when brothers run with that McDonald's 5-minute teaching. This is why my videos are so long.
The funny thing is, like, I was adopted, and my biological father was actually Scottish, but I never knew him. So my father, he's a Polynesian man, and that's all I knew. So that's what I followed.
Right,
so,
right.
If anything,
by the way, but according to GMS, you know, they would still make you an Israelite according to theirs. I think they got the Irish and the Scottish.
You know, with my understanding now, and I thank God, I don't care if I am, and I don't care if I'm not. You know what? I'll accept the fact that I'm probably a Gentile, but because of my faith in Jesus, that makes me a seed of Abraham. So that's all that matters to me.
his laws and his structure. And if you go and you read these scriptures, there's only one, people that match these curses totally, it was very, for instance, one of the most telling scriptures is the last one, 68, Deuteronomy 28:68. It says that, and I'm paraphrasing here, I don't have my Bible with me, but it says that I will bring my people back to Egypt. Egypt being a place of bondage where they were slaves. Chosen people were slaves in Egypt by way of shit. And we know that if we're dealing with Israel, we're over there in that continent, that you don't need to use a shit to get to Egypt. You're already in that land where you don't need a shit. So the only time that a people have ever came into slavery, bondage by way of shit was the transatlantic slave trade that came over this way, over towards America, the West Indies, the South America, and some other ones I want to say. Deuteronomy 28:37 says that you will become an astonishment, a proverb, and a byword among all other nations where the Lord shall bring you. Basically saying that people are going to look at you like they did on CNN and saying, look at these people just ruining their own country, their own communities, and the N-word, and coon, and boy, and spick, and savages, and all these bywords. Not only that, but African American. That's a byword that doesn't describe who these people really are. Those are two continents. How can that be who a people are?
No, somebody's gonna get it. So in retrospect, it is witchcraft, and like I say, you got some denominations that are in it that are still big on the hate. Yeah. They're big on the hate spirit. You know what I mean? Right. Because that's the prime of their gospel is that, God's gonna come and get you Gentiles for what y'all done and what y'all still doing to us. Right. So they keep you in a hate-filled spirit, and it's witchcraft straight up, like another spirit. And the Bible even says something about you've taken on another gospel that's brought on another spirit, and it's sad. And I think that a lot of people, like I was, like I said, you're doing like black research, black studies, and you're a passionate person naturally. Yeah. Like before all this, like it was known, like when you stood for something, you stood for something. You've always been a very bold person, and so I think that's where this comes in with me. When I was in the world, I was in the world. Like I was doing whatever, and now that I'm in Christ, I'm bold for Christ. Like it's just your personality. So I think that is you are more susceptible to it when you stand for justice, and when you stand for something, you really stand for it. So it makes sense. That's real. Yeah. So I think that's where a lot of people can get intertwined in it, especially that a lot of people have to go through that Hebrew Israelite phase, I guess you could call it, or doctrine, or whatever you want to call it, for God to bring them unto Christ. But the whole Bible is about Jesus Christ. It ain't about a particular nation of people,
race, or
it's about Christ. It's about him undoing, you know what I mean, the sins of man, and allowing them to become free. You know what I'm saying?
Reconciling us back to God.
But it's about him, and you have to hearken unto him and his words. You know what I'm saying?
So you see here, his brothers exposed, and what got me was also that he kept promoting this water. Now talk with this brother, man. I hate to do it like this, but if you're gonna publicly denounce all the truth that these, like, if you're gonna get on them, these camps, organizations, whatever you want to call them, these groups, cults, whatever, you want to get on them, bring out the like I said, one thing they never do, they never focus on the doctrine as far as the historical value of it, and number two is they never tell us who we are by the scriptures. Then they always go with that Christian doctrine. If you believe you're a child of Israel, that's not anywhere in the scripture. When Paul said you're a Jew inwardly, meaning you're acting like a child of Israel, a child of who? Israel. You're gonna act like a righteous child of Israel, one of the original people that the Most High made to be His chosen. You're gonna walk like them, a righteous one. But this is what I mean by the white supremacy, because this is what happens. You see here, right here, the 12 tribes, one nation, the Hebrew blood, the Eve gene, because the black woman has a Eve gene, what the scientists call, that can create any shade. Okay, this isn't me. This is scientific now. Okay, again, I went over that videos in the past. How you have dominant genes and recessive genes. You can't, from recessive genes, our so-called white people cannot create black people. So black people had to be here first. We created white people, man. However you want to look at it. It came from dominant genes. Recessive blonde hair, blue eye came from dark skin and black hair. Through the E gene in the black man, the black woman can create any type of phenotype, man. Okay? This is a melanated world, and if you just think, oh, here we go again, you got to understand that this all plays a role. The Most High spoke on this. I've been bringing this out. The Messiah has been speaking on this. This isn't anything new, okay? But it's showing, you know, all you got to do is look at the dog test video. Look at the dog test video. These kids is not learning that black is ugly from nowhere. They're not just, oh, come on, but black must be ugly. They're not coming up from that, because if you get a room full of 1.5-year-olds, they'll all play with each other. At some point in their lives, they're learning this doctrine. We can't keep turning a blind eye to this, man. And if you want to, block me and get off my page now, because this is what we go over. We have to address this issue. It didn't come when you were 24 and 25. That was implanted way back, way before that. Okay? And here, I'm again getting back to the white supremacy, because the people that run the earth have put this system into place to make you feel a certain way about people that's my color and people that's not of the European nation. Okay?
Alright. You know what I'm saying? King of the hill. When I be telling you, they be subliminally dropping jewels, and now it ain't as racy as The Simpsons or Futurama or Family Guy, but I want y'all to peep this. You know what I'm saying? When I speak to y'all about white supremacy and how it's going to end the world, you know, it's going to bring about the end of the world, because these powers that be, what they are doing is pushing the doctrine of their forefather Esau, you know, the doctrine of hatred, the doctrine of division, the doctrine of confusion, which I had Neely Fuller speak on. I put his video, his audio on that last one, on the confusion of Babylon. Now I want y'all to watch this scene. And this is what I mean about how the army is going to take over and it's going to be martial law. This is what I'm talking about. Okay, because a lot of people get this misconstrued that, you know, just because you're white, you're a white supremacist. No, you do. I should say, exposed to white supremacist ideology, like the white Jesus, for example. That's a white supremacist ideology. White Indians and things of that nature, which, I'm going to cover more in this episode, but I just want to show y'all this. This is what I mean by they turned patriotism into the religion of America. That's the religion. Regardless of what you believe in, patriotism is the religion. And patriotism comes from the root word pater, meaning father, which I'm going to touch. But y'all check this out and see what happens here in the scene. Bill, Dale, and Bill, he stole a tank, you know what I'm saying, from the army base because he felt bad because, of the way his life was going. He wasn't succeeding. So he stole this tank, right? And after he steals the tank, his friends kind of encourage him that no, he's a good person, and he speaks on how the army was injecting him with these shots, with these quote unquote vitamin shots. Like when they give you the chip, you're going to see who's behind the chip is going to be Esau, y'all. The final kingdom is going to be Esau, and he's going to say it's for your own good. It's going to lead a lot of people to the lake. Okay. And the second part of that is he stole a tank, and the cops pulled him over because he's driving the tank down the streets. Now we look and see in other quote unquote third world countries, tanks and army men on the street all the time. My question to you Americans is what y'all gonna do when you see tanks running down your street? I keep showing you that Boston bombing footage. Like, that is going to come. That was a test run. But, I don't want to keep repeating myself, so we're going to watch this scene. Y'all peep game. Let me turn it up some.
The cup! Of course the cup! Look! Baby Dana!
I always knew I'd be a great tank driver. Just like I always knew I'd live close to Hank. Oh God, it's the cops. Oh, I wonder how much trouble you get in for stealing a tank.
And taking 3 hostages. Help!
No, this isn't over. Maybe I still have a silver tongue underneath all the black.
What's this tank doing out on the streets? We were told the war games would be limited to the base.
Are you questioning my authority? I am a sergeant in the United States Army, and you are impeding a military operation. What are you looking at?
Nothing, Sergeant. You just seem a little out of uniform.
Have you ever driven the Abrams M1A2 tank?
No, sir.
Do you have any idea how hot it gets inside that heavily armored fighting machine?
No, sir.
I did not think so. Now I suggest you get back inside that black and white and forget everything you've seen here. Do I make myself clear?
Yes, sir.
All right, move on. And you, I'm going to need your name and phone number. I'm also going to need you to keep Saturday night open because I'm taking you dancing.
Sorry, yes, sir.
Yeah, as soon as we drop this baby off, my life enters chapter 2, the good years.
Dang it, fella, I'm proud of you.
I'm proud of me too.
That's live artillery. Bill, where the hell are we?
By the looks of all these tanks being blown up, I'd say we're on the target range for the war games.
Gentlemen, the crap has literally been scared.
And I'm gonna stop it right there because that's what I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying? These war games, you see these videos of these tanks and all this stuff that came in years ago. A lot of people forgot about it. A lot of people forgot about all those videos during the Obama years when it was showing they're bringing tanks in. but it's been quiet for what, the last 4 or 5 years, maybe 6. So what do you think they're bringing them in for? Doesn't look like they were shipping them out. And if they are shipping them out, that's just as worse. World War III is on the tipping scale. I seen an article the other day. It said, "Where are the safe countries to go during World War III? Where will you go?" You know what I'm saying? So this is just showing Esau living by the sword. You see that this is a great sword, y'all. This is the sword. This is how he conquered the 4 corners of the earth. And anywhere that there isn't a Rothschild bank, guess what? Prepare for war there. Look it up if you don't believe me. But this is just something I wanted to touch. I felt like I had to, bring this out when I seen this. Like, man, like this is foreshadowing. Okay? Because the same guy that made The Simpsons and did this, he made all these cartoons. And they put subliminal messages in them, man. So this is just, you know what I'm saying? This is just, to keep you, on your toes about this. You know what I'm saying? That this is, when I speak of white supremacy, this is what it is, man. This is what it is. And this is what's coming to the forefront sooner or later. This is not the fear monger, but this is to let you know. And this is the last thing I want to say too, is that you notice when he was speaking to the people, the cops. I mean, when Bill, this brother here, was speaking to the cops, that they respected his authority, and that's what the army does. The army says, "Hey, people be like, hey, I seen some strange lights in the sky." You didn't. The army says, "Hey, this has happened." No, it didn't happen. Why? Because I'm coming down on you with the full force of the U.S. Army, blah, 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 XYZ. And people take that, man. Even though they know they're being lied to, like Hank, this guy here, right? The main character. He admitted to Bill, like, yeah, Bill, they injected you with all this stuff. They made you like this and made you bald and fat and injecting you with all this unknown substance. Again, why do you you wouldn't eat something or let somebody feed you something you ain't know what it was, but you'll let these people put vaccines and whatever in you. You have no idea what's in them. And this is what I'm saying to y'all, man. Especially to you Gentiles, to Israel too. You know what I'm saying? But as far as the lives of your forefathers, for you Gentiles, is that, you know what I'm saying, you respect your patriotism, pater forefathers' authority. You respect their authority, even when they're wrong, even when they're clearly in violation of what they say that they're about. You respect it. And this is what is the military industrial complex that's going to take over the entire world, start World War III, and put us all in a position to where the Most High says if he doesn't stop it, there will be no flesh saved. That is what I mean when I'm speaking on this white supremacy ideology, man. I need y'all to grasp that, man. Okay, it's going to cause the death of many so-called white people. Many of Edom will sacrifice his own. And I'm not saying to boast or to fearmonger or to brag or anything like that. This is to show you, hey, man, this is what's going to happen. Okay, while you're like her in the store buying and selling and doing everything else, they're going to hit you with that chip to do that. Okay, why, to further, basically further their corporation. This is what they call the megalomart. It's like Walmart, and they're gonna turn these places into FEMA camps. Man, this information already came out and they retracted it, and that's what these Satanists believe. If they tell you the truth, they can turn around and say no, that's not what it is. But they knew deep down that they told you the truth. Like the whistleblowers and all that, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, okay, yeah, he said this and it seemed true then, but then they retract their statements. Just like all you gotta do is look at when they came out about Roswell in Area 51 and they found the flying saucer. Look what they said the very next day. That's what I'm talking about. Are you going to accept authority or truth? The only authority should be truth. All praise to the Most High, man.
So you see here, I got a couple examples. One is for white supremacy within white people. I want to explain using what's the word I want to use? Figurative speech, what it's like within your nation. Then I'm going to explain how it is for everybody. But within your nation, It's like a balloon payment. Now, I went to school for finance and business administration. So let me explain. A balloon payment is a lump sum paid at the end of a loan's term that is significantly larger than all the payments made before it. Balloon payments allow borrowers to reduce that fixed payment amount in exchange for making a larger payment at the end of the loan's term. So that basically means you want to buy a house, let's say it's $100,000 or $120,000. If you select the balloon payment option to pay for that house, that means you might pay $800 a month, $700 a month, $500 a month, and $600. Real low payments, but that last payment is going to be like $25,000 because you've only been making the minimal payments. You haven't been hit with that full charge yet. It's like the Most High, He hasn't hit you with that full charge of what your forefathers did. And if you say, oh, that was them, that's a famous line that many Gentile Jews, especially speaking of Edom here, they'll say, oh, that was them, not me. I don't have any, you're benefiting from what they did. The banking system doesn't charge you as much as people of color. You don't get as much time as people of color for the same crimes. You don't get looked at in the same social construct as people of color. I can go on and on. You're more likely to get a job with the same credentials, or even if they have better credentials than people of color. It goes on and on. And that system was set up by your forefathers, so you are benefiting from it. When you look at these businesses, give you another one more example I just thought of. Businesses, it says since 1925, like Shipley's or something, or since 1910, since 1850 something. You see these businesses. Who was running those? Who was allowed to have those businesses? How come you never see a black business that was that old? How come our businesses are only like maybe 20, 30 years old, 40 years old? Because when we had businesses back then, they were burnt down and ravaged. Or we were made bankrupt by the bank. This is history, y'all. Another example is vaccines. Vaccines at one part of time for so-called Europeans or whites were good for them. They knew that smallpox was a bad disease. They got a vaccine, a medicine. They cured themselves. But what did they do to the Native Americans? They gave them blankets with that stuff, knowing that they didn't have any recourse against that disease. And that goes back to the curses, that He will hit them with every plague. So they gave them those blankets, and what happened? They were hit with it. They were hit with smallpox, had no remedy for it. But now what are vaccines doing? Vaccines are making 188 boys autistic, you know, and even somewhere similar to that for the girls. I mean, vaccine deaths. People are starting to link vaccines with cancer, just including the flu vaccine that they give every year, that give people the flu. I mean, you see how it start off as a good thing for you, but in the end it's going to hurt you. It's like the balloon payment. It start off as a good thing, but in the end it's going to hurt you because you haven't felt the effect of it yet. But now the curses are going from the Israelite to the bloodline Gentiles. Now you're starting to feel the weight, even though it's just a little bit, you're starting to feel it. And all this injustice and government corruption that we've been screaming about for hundreds of years, now you're starting to feel it. So again, this is just giving you an example. So we're going to get into the definition, because I don't want anybody to say that, you know, because the definitions of words are very important, man. So the definition of white supremacy, the belief that white people are superior to those of all other races, especially the black race. And I use black as an umbrella term for Israel. But especially the black race, and should therefore dominate society. So this is when you say, oh, Thanksgiving was bad. Oh, well, we got a country out of it. July 4th was bad. Oh, well, we got a country out of it. Slavery was bad. Oh, but look what we got now. That's old. But they never say that to the so-called Jewish people or 9/11. They never say you never see them say get over that. But when it comes to people that are not their nation, that's just the aspect of white supremacy. And now they use the term white nationalist. They'll say, oh, I'm not a white supremacist, I'm a white nationalist. This is what I'm saying. It's that wordplay stuff. You gotta be on point with this. Be on point with this, because white nationalists, the definitions according to Webster now, one of a group of militant whites who espouse white supremacy and advocate enforced racial segregation. Now, you know, I remember I was in the group, this is way before the truth, and the white girl was like, hey, no offense. It was like a music group or something. She was like, no offense, but I don't like you black guys or whatever, or Mexican guys. It's like, I'm just looking for a white boy. And people, and the girl took a screenshot and posted it and was like, is this racist? And I was like, a lot of people were like, no. I mean, that's her preference. Like, there's nothing wrong with that's your preference. You know what I'm saying? Just don't buy the lies. That's my thing. Like, that's fine. I don't see nothing wrong with that. It's like a black girl liking black guys or a Mexican girl liking Mexican dude. There's nothing wrong with that. What's wrong is when you start looking down on other people. That's when it gets wrong. Like looking down as if, you know, you're on some higher standard than them, and that's when the white supremacy comes in, because they believe that the white supremacist believes that because they have the country, they have this, that they're superior. They don't understand. They're just fulfilling Esau's living by the sword. We're gonna get into that later though, but this is where it comes down to. It says Matthew 23:15, woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for you compass the sea and land to make one proselyte, that's a non-Israelite believer, and when he is made, you make him twofold more the child of hell than yourself. So this Donald Tabor guy's other dude, Brother George's, when they get made into the fold the wrong way by these Pharisees and Sadducees and whatever, these unlearned Israelites, they're made twice. Now they're back in Christianity. Not only they're back in Christianity, they're bashing the whole truth movement of us awakening. You know what I'm saying? Not going to the history of Israel, not going as if none of that matters. You know, the gates of the kingdom are named after the 12 tribes. But look, we're gonna keep it moving, man, because this is about truth. I'm coming with a sniper rifle on this one. Disclaimer, you cannot generalize all people, know all the world's problems in the statements like, we all have issues, slavery was just something that happens, it's only the elites, because that's when they use, oh, it's only the elites, the Donald Trumps and the blah, blah. No, it's not. It's also the people that follow their ideology, man. That's what the last video was about. And it's not about when you do it in ignorance, but once you're shown the truth about Thanksgiving and you still want to do it, shown the truth about 4th of July, you still want to do it. Amos 5:21 says the Most High is not with you. Not me, not my doctrine. That's the Father says he's not smelling in your solemn assemblies. That goes for Israelites as well. Because the Israelites fell following who? Whose ways were they following? So you do the math. They use the excuse, that's our forefathers, we only need Jesus, like Donald was saying, but not his doctrine, his teachings, but just how we perceive him. We're all equal, which history, all the scriptures never ever said. The world is bad, like these old lame comments. Stop playing the victim, ignoring all the data and numbers. They ignore all the data and numbers. We're not playing the victim, we are the victim. We're not playing it. Who wants to be the victim? The past is the past. There are bad people, we're all humans who believe blood. You cannot generalize all the world's problems like that. If you do, like, this is that vain and fair speeches that Paul was talking about in the book of Romans. Vain and fair, that's, the world is bad. Okay, we know that. And does that explain why blacks are getting shot like dogs by police even in their own houses? Does that explain that? Does that explain slavery, the slave trade? Does that explain why we pay more for houses? Does that explain all this racial tension? Does that explain the KKK? We're bad people. Okay, yeah, they're all bad people, but how does that explain everything? That's a very broad statement. So convert, this is back to that word, the proselyte. Greek Strong 4339, from the altar of pro-churchomai, an arrival from a foreign region and a cedar to Judaism. And we know not Judaism, but to the law, the Hebrewism, the Hebrew law, okay? So it says usage, a proselyte that is a non-Israelite who has been circumcised and has adopted the Israelites' beliefs or religion, okay? So Romans 16:18, for they are such serve not our Lord Yahshua, but their own belly, and by good words and fair speeches deceive the hearts of the simple. Those are deceive you. That doesn't answer this race war. When y'all said nation will rise against nation, what nation? The nation he talked about in Luke 21:24 that would take everybody captive. The Israelites he was speaking to. When he said, I'm not sent but to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. I mean, we can't take bits and pieces of the gospel and run with it. Thought as a child, I worked as a child, but now I'm a man, put away childish things, man. Proverbs 7:21-23. With her much fair speech, she caused him to yield. With the flattering of her lips, she forced him. He goeth after her straightway as an ox goeth to the slaughter, or as a fool to the correction of the stocks. Till the dart strike through his liver, as a bird hastens to the snare, and knoweth not that it is for his life. When they go back to Christianity, because they can't take the Most High dealing with nations, and that everybody's not equal, even though nothing in history or in their lifetime has ever shown everybody to be equal. They believe all this we just need to love. Even if they're doing something totally an abomination, we just need to love. Man, that's the doctrine of Satan, man. Straight up. Yeah, we do need love, but we need correction. We need rebuke. We need chastisement. We need growth. You don't grow. What if everything you did as a child, your mama and dad was like, oh, we love you. You wouldn't rob the store, oh, but we love you. You just wanted nice things. No, you need to be putting a belt to your behind, man. It's grown man bars, man. 1 Timothy 1:4. Neither give heed to fables and endless genealogies, which minister questions rather than godly edifying, which is in faith. So do. So if somebody's talking about nations, that's not such a bad thing. But if it's not to edify or to get people to an understanding, it's an endless genealogy. And that Jesus Christ, that white Christ, that's a fable, man. Okay, how you cut it? That's Caesar Borgia's son. That's a Roman son. The Romans that killed the Messiah. You're going to trust the killers and the murderers. Amazing. 2 Timothy 4:4. And they shall turn their ears from the truth and shall be turned to fables. That's what happened to Brother George and to Brother Donald. That's what happened to him. Turn into fables. We got a storm brewing outside, so I'm trying to hurry up and get through this. Titus 1:14. Not giving heed to Jewish fables and commandments of men that turn from the truth. So if it's not edifying and it's these fables and if the Israelites want to hate everybody of another nation, you're taking on the ways of your oppressor. That's what you're doing. If you don't like your oppressor so much, why would you take his ways? Makes no sense to me. The solution is not Christianity. Let's get into it. Christopher Columbus and the Doctrine of Discovery manifest destiny. I had to explain this to a brother today because he thought Christianity and the Bible was the same thing. The Bible says, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not murder, thou shalt not covet. Isn't that how they got this country? With the same Bible that they had, right? So you see why slaves weren't allowed to read, right? Okay. Because that was a death penalty for all of that. They was already having problems stopping the slave rebellion. You know what I'm talking about? So Christopher Columbus, so let's get it. This is from Pope Nicholas V, the Papal Bull. I'm speaking of the Bull of Egypt. 1452, so this is before he actually came. The Doctrine of Discovery is a series of papal bulls written between 1452 and 1493. It was essentially the church in Europe saying to the nations of Europe, whatever lands you find not ruled by Christian rulers, meaning Catholic, because Catholic and Christians, y'all follow the same doctrine. Same holidays, same Sunday worship, same Jesus. Those people are less than human and the land is yours for the taking. Invade, search out, capture, vanquish, and subdue all Saracens and pagans whatsoever to reduce their persons to perpetual slavery, forever slavery, and convert them to his and use their, and to convert them to his and their use and profit. So that means that they was killing, raping, robbing like they was, and then convert them to Catholicism or Christianity. Potato, man. Okay, so you see here the picture of Christopher Columbus, he ruling by the sword. What did he have in his hand? A sword. That's Genesis 27 and 40. Talking about he was a Jew. No, he was Jewish. It's a difference. Okay? He wasn't an Israelite. Picture right here You see that Gentiles inherited lies. So again, there are some Gentiles that are awake to this. And instead, some of my own people ain't awake to this, because Christopher Columbus is also responsible for Thanksgiving. You're talking about, oh, I want things like you can't eat any other day. So you can't get stuffing any other day. You can't get the family together any other day. You gotta do it on Thanksgiving when Massa had your grandmama and granddaddy in chains and whips and everything. Now posting in November, slave auctions in November have black people laughing, man. Yeah, man, it's sad. It's sad, because we're the only people that will celebrate a day built around our demise for some damn chitlins. Isaiah 34:16. It says, seek ye out of the book of the Lord and read. No one of these shall fail. None shall want her mate. For my mouth it hath commanded, and his spirit it hath gathered them. So the Most High is speaking that this isn't my doctrine. This isn't Israelite doctrine. This is the true doctrine. Came from the prophets, man. Matthew 11:6. And blessed is he whosoever shall not be offended in me. When you start reading what Christ really said to these so-called Christians, I'll give you an easy example, because we got Trump in office, right? We got the orange man, right? You go to his supporters and you read what Christ said about dealing with the stranger. You just read that, where he said, even in the law where it says that you shouldn't vex a stranger. You were strangers in Egypt, and Christ quoted that. Read them that. Yeah, they don't want to, yeah, exactly. Christianity doesn't follow the Bible. I'm telling people that. Matthew 24:10. And then shall many be offended. So I'm not surprised people are offended. Many be offended and shall betray one another and shall hate one another. Hate on me, man. You can hate me now, but I won't stop now. You know what I'm saying? No P. Diddy. Proverbs 11:21. Though hand love this verse, man. Though hand join in hand, the wicked shall not be unpunished, but the seed of righteous shall be delivered. The seed of the righteous shall be delivered. So you know y'all hand in hand with Caesar Borgia, y'all hand in hand with pork eating, y'all hand in hand with all this Christianity and Islam, and we just want to worship God how we see. If you're not serving the Most High in spirit and truth, though hand in hand, this is what I'm saying. Not when you're doing ignorantly. He may have grace upon you. I'm not saying that. Like you think, oh, well, what is nobody? I'm talking about once you hear and you understand that what you're doing is not of him, and you decide to continue with that, at that point, man, like, I don't feel bad for you, man. It's a reason that this truth got to hit four corners so everybody can hear it, bro. Psalm 82:2. How long will ye judge unjustly and accept the persons of the wicked? Selah. Y'all accept all these wicked presidents, accept all these wicked people that are completely against the Israelites, their own people, everything. They'll sacrifice their own, as I showed in the last video. The Gentiles will sacrifice their own, but they're not going to believe it until it happens. I think they ain't going to believe it until it happens. Sad, but that's the truth. Okay. Where am I at here? Hebrews 13:8. They want to like I was watching the video. I had to turn off, but what Don was like, oh, they're talking about what Christ already said and already fulfilled. Now it's for everybody. Look what when he turned away that Canaanite woman, right? I want you to remember that scripture. It says here, Yeshua, Christ, the same yesterday and today and forever. This is Hebrews 13:8. He's the same. He doesn't change. He's the same. Like the Most High says, Malachi 1, I change not. That's why we know we can depend on him. How many friends and family you had that have switched up on you? Raise your hand. How many day ones you had that switched up on you? Raise your hand. Put your hand up. Exactly. But we have a father and an advocate to the Father if we follow this covenant. That will never change on us, man. What he said is what he said, man. It's up to you. Luke 19:27. But those mind, because they want to say Christ is all about love and charity and compassion and kiss on the cheek and turn the other cheek and love thy enemy. They don't understand what he was saying when he was speaking in those verses. Because Satan is an enemy. So are we supposed to love Satan? You see what I'm saying? This is what I'm saying. People take one doctrine and run a million miles away. That's why they were telling the slaves that, oh, love thy enemy. No, they was telling them that because they didn't want the slaves to kill them. They were saying, hey, this is the truth. And of course, there was some truth in it, but they were twisting it. Because it was actually referring to forgiving your brother or sister. When Christ was saying, forgive, he was talking about really the Israelites. We don't have no problem forgiving the other nations. As you can see with this trial with Amber, we don't have no problem forgiving other nations. The problem we have, we got family members they've been speaking in 15 years and still got a grudge. That's the problem we got. When friends beefed out, just can't let it go. Just can't let it go. You know what I'm saying? And some across the board, but you know what I'm saying. But this is what Christ said about enemies also. But those mine enemies, which would not that I should reign over them, bring them hither and slay them before me. This is one of the most gangster verses in the gospel, bro. The most gangster verses. He didn't just say go out there and kill them. You know, bring me their head or something or whatever. No, he said bring them in front of me where I could see and kill them right here in front of me. This is the Messiah saying this. I'm not telling nobody go out and kill nobody. This is an end time prophecy when he returns. But I'm saying this is what he's about, man. The Most High is a man of war, so his son's gonna come soft. He's not effeminate, man. You believe that Christian doctrine if you want to. Part D, servitude of the Gentile nations. We'll get right into it. This is what the the real Gentiles are going to be put into a servitude, a righteous one, not raped and pillaged like they did us. But this isn't going to be for those that did the raping and pillaging. This is going to be for those that repented from that and cling unto the house of Jacob, as it says in the book of Zechariah. So here it goes. Matthew 8:10-12. When Yasha heard it, he marveled and said to them that follow, verily I say unto you, I have not found so great faith, no, not in Israel. And I say unto you that many shall come from east and the west and shall sit with Abraham and Isaac and Jacob in the kingdom of heaven. So many, okay? But the children of the kingdom shall be cast out into outer darkness. There shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth. So who are the children of the kingdom? You see what I'm saying? So don't be trying to put no final judgment on people. You don't know. Preach the gospel and let the lie where they may. Amos 9:12, that they may possess the remnant of Edom and of all the heathen which are called by my name, saith the Lord that doeth this. So you precept that with Acts 15:7 and Acts 10:35. So let me go here real quick just to bring out who he's talking about, the remnant of Edom. You see, Edom is capitalized in that sentence, in that verse. Greek Strong 2401, Idumea. It says Idumea, Edom, a district of Arabia, immediately south of Judea. You might say, oh, so they're still there. No, they're not. They ruled the land. They ruled the world by the sword. They couldn't stay there and rule the entire world. I just say that there are some still there. Of course, they took our land. But see Deuteronomy 2 for that, okay? It says the name of a region between southern Palestine and Arabia, Patrisa, inhabited by Esau or Edom, Genesis 36 and 36 verses there, and his posterity, the Edomites. The Edomites were first subjugated by David, but after his death they disputed Solomon's authority, and in reign and Joram recovered their liberty, where they maintained, transmitting from generation to generation their hatred of Israel. Right there. So again, these are talking about the Edomites. Y'all peeping game here. Hebrew Strong 123, Edom. Okay. It says elder son of Isaac, red. Okay, Genesis 25:25. Again, Rudy has two definitions, one meaning useful, one meaning red. The one used to describe Esau was red. Just like repent has two definitions. The Most High doesn't repent like we do. There's two definitions, y'all. Y'all gotta get this, man. Okay? Idumeans as descendants of Esau. Okay? Where am I at? You gotta understand too, I want to say this, like when they talk about Jews and Jewish, when you're reading the history, you gotta really peep it. They're talking about us, The Israelites are talking about the Jewish. There's a difference, y'all, okay? Edom, Idumean, you see here, it says, hence the region Idumean occupied by him, the Edomites, okay? So if you're not going to believe who the Most High called them the Idumeans. The Idumeans are ruling. Esau is the end of the world. The Idumeans are the end of the world. That's what the Most High called them in Deuteronomy 2. And so on and so forth. If you don't believe who the Idumeans are, even though King Herod was an Idumean, his father Antipas was an Idumean, we can see what these people look like. If you don't believe who they are, I'm not going to argue with you. Like I told the brother last week, the Most High called them the Idumeans. Show me who the Idumeans are, or just keep preaching whatever you want to preach. Preach that they're whoever. All type of crazy doctrine I'll be hearing. So this is from a short study of Esau, Edom, and Jur. It's 82 pages in the description box. You see the picture here? This is the cover, okay? I want you to look at this where it says historical research. We're going to the Idumeans. It says, but through Esau and his Hittite posterity, and perhaps even indicating a continuation of the stock of Cain, which we know is not the stock of Cain because Cain's line was wiped out by the flood, but it's meaning that he was a murderer of his brother from the beginning. John in Revelation 3:9 writes of them, the synagogue of Satan, which say they are Jews and are not, but do lie, a seemingly reference to the treacherous line of Esau masquerading as Jews. So see Amalek. Amalek is his posterity. Amalek is also not, just let you know, Amalek is the Jewish people. Okay, you can Google it. The Idumean origin of these false Jews is clearly indicated in their own claim that not only were they Abraham's seed, but also that they were never in bondage, as they said in John 8:33. A boast that no Israelites could make because of the bondage of their forefathers in Egypt. See the Jewish Encyclopedia, the 1925 edition. Again, they hide the truth in books, y'all. I'm telling y'all that. I mean that. Where am I at? All right. Esau, Hittites, because Esau his wives were what? Of the Hittites, he went and dealt with Canaan. Because that's who he really followed, was the Canaanites who were following Satan. So at the end of the day, the white supremacists running this earth are Satanists. As we can see. That's what all the Illuminati stuff is about. They're Satanists. Okay, they got the whole world following them. Then people don't know how Satan fooled the whole world because you're following your forefathers. And we're following their forefathers. And not following what the Most High said. Said comprise no small portion of modern Jewry, religious Jews who have rejected the patriarchal religion and resort to violence and atheism, and the latter who seek to obtain the kingdom by violence. So that precepts to Genesis 27:40, Obadiah 1, and Numbers 24:20. That precepts all of that. Okay, you see here in the next picture, it says the idols of Dan and Samaria and of other cities, the house of Israel, that it had endured for 260 years under the rule of 20 kings, vanished in one day, leaving no trace behind it, because it forsook its original elevating and invigorating teachings and followed the enervating vices connected with idolatry. This is the 10 tribes. That's why when you go into those Mexican food stores, what do they have? The picture of the white Jesus. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm talking about. They're getting that ideology from who? The Idumeans, Esau. Undoubtedly, the 10 tribes were absorbed among the nations and disappeared. Okay, so this is the mixing. I hate when people say that they like the 10 tribes didn't mix. Of course they did. Look at King Solomon. You know, he was Judah, but look at what he did when and this is why the Most High had the laws against it, because when we dealt with other nations, what did we deal with by default? Their gods. You're not going to go marry a woman in a Christian church and y'all agree on what to do around Christmas time. That's not going to happen. She's going to want to keep that tree, man. I'm trying to tell y'all brothers, and vice versa to y'all sisters, man. It is important to bear in mind the fact that the 10 tribes did not return to Palestine to unite with the Jewish nation. In this case, it means Israelite. The 10 tribes have not united with Jewry, Josephus, in the time of Christ, but 2 tribes are in Asia and Europe, while the 10 tribes are beyond Euphrates. And it says here in Hosea 8:8, Israel is swallowed up. Now shall they be among the Gentiles as a vessel wherein there is no pleasure. So as you see here, Israel, the house of Israel got swallowed up, man. Dealing with these Gentile nations. That's what happens, man. This is why the Most High had laws against it. It wasn't just for no reason. Okay, so Revelations 22:2. In the midst of the street of it, on either side of the river, was there the tree of life, which bare 12 manner of fruits, representing the 12 tribes, and yielded her fruit every month, 12 months. And the leaves of the tree were for the healing of the nations. So the nations had to come deal with Israel to get that healing. Of course, through Yasha, not just because you're Israel, you're good. No, you have to still deal with Yasha. You know what I'm talking about? So that's what that's about, man. It even says in the end times, when the kingdom is established in that 1,000-year reign, that all nations will come to Zion for the Feast of Tabernacles, and whoever does it, there's going to be a curse upon them. So the Most High is still dealing with his people. That's who Yasha came for. It's not overshadowing the Most High or Yasha, but it's just saying that he's dealing with his people, man. The whole book. So section 2, the history of the immigrant laws and justice. We're going to kind of run through this. Y'all can pause, rewind, whatever you got to do. But y'all peep this game. 1790, the Naturalization Act. The U.S. citizenship may be granted to free white persons of quote-unquote good moral character, Native Americans, slaves, indentured services, indentured servants, free blacks, and agents were effectively excluded. Okay, 1823, Johnson versus Imtosh. It says, ruling that the established U.S. government's sovereignty over Indian law and based on the Doctrine of Discovery of the European colonization of the New World. There's no way that they could have done everything that they did without conquering this land over here. They couldn't do it just from they called that the old world for a reason. They couldn't just do it. They had to conquer the people over here. 1830, Indian Removal Act. Set in motion decades of forced removals of Cherokee, Muskogee, Seminole, Chickasaw, Choctaw, and Ponca Native American nations from the southeastern United States, known as the Trail of Tears. So they call it the Indian Removal Act. They massacred millions of them. And raped and tortured, burned to death. It gets really ugly. If I even tried to show a lot of that stuff, I know somebody would try to flag this video, man. That's how bad it was. It's really bad. Millions of deaths. What, in September 11, that was like 3,000? Imagine millions of deaths just like that. That's what happened, man. 1865, passage of the 13th Amendment. This amendment abolishes slavery, but with a loophole, except as punishment for crime, paving the way for the convict lease system that allowed for prison labor to be contracted out to private interests for profit throughout the American South. And even to today, it ain't just the American South. They don't act like it's the South. No, it's like 50, over 50, but they did an article with 50 companies from today that benefit from prison labor. Okay, so the slavery does continue. 1981, President Ronald Reagan announces a new detention policy aiming to punish and deter Latin American migration, including the detention of asylum seekers. Reagan also launched the renewed war on drugs that will pave the way for the increased militarization of border enforcement, conflation of drug and immigration enforcement through interdiction programs. So Reagan invented crack. Through the CIA, they invented crack. Then he made a war on drugs. Who do you think was the target of that? And yes, he was about it, man. Freeway Ricky Ross, his connect was Oliver North. That was Reagan's right-hand man. Then on top of that, he instilled Reaganomics, which made the rich even richer. Okay, so you see what I'm talking about when it looks dumb when black and brown people shoot each other in the streets over this poison, that we poison ourselves, destroying lives, homes, communities. I've seen it with my own eyes. Friends and family members I grew up with fall victim to this stuff, man. Or people, at least the people that was close to me, not just a cousin well or whatever, but like, dang, like this is what it is, man. So this is the big ball game, man. But what's it around the jam of track about bricks? You know what I'm talking about? So 1988, President George H.W. Bush Sr. Issued a national apology to Japanese Americans interned during World War II, awarding reparations of $20,000 to each family subjected to internment. They had Japanese in internment camps. They have FEMA camps today. There's not been any official disclosure of what these FEMA camps are for. The FEMA camps have caskets, as I've showed you. What are they for? Do you know? Remember, they always have a precursor to what they do. 1954 to 1956, they called it Operation Wetback, man. For you Latinos for Trump. Foolishness, man. A targeted immigration enforcement campaign launched by the Eisenhower administration, during which over 1 million Mexicans who arrived under the Barraco program were targeted for deportation. Doing it again, right? And this goes back into Deuteronomy 28:32. Thy sons and daughters shall be given unto another people. Thine eyes shall look and fail with longing for them all the day long. And there shall be no might in thine hand. There's no might in our hands behind this law, or in the northern kingdom's hands behind this law. Detention centers from 1996 to 1998. The number of immigrants in detention increased from 8,500 to 16,000. And by 2008, it's increased to more than 30,000. According to the Global Detention Project, the United States possesses the largest immigration detention system in the world. 2003, the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement Agency was created under the Department of Homeland Security. Again, look at the Iran-Contra scandal, man. They bring in the drugs to Mexico, getting them there to get them cheaper, and bringing them to the U.S. to make profit, man. Who you think is really running the drug trade? Look how rich the drug trade is, billions of dollars. Ain't no black man on no boat bringing that stuff. No black man on no plane bringing that stuff. They're like Freeway Ricky Ross. They're just a cog in the machine. Don't say that they ain't innocent, but that's what the truth is. So let's get to the history of the Northern Kingdom. Okay, section 3. Salmanazar, king of Assyria and Babylon. Okay, so I read about him earlier. Okay, he reigned 726 to 721 BC, who subjugated the ancient Israel and undertook a punitive campaign to quell the rebellion of Israel's king Hosea. For 3 years, he laid siege until he broke the resistance of Samaria in. However, he died shortly before the capture of the city, which was claimed by his successor Sargon II. Showed you his picture earlier. 2 Kings 17, 1 through 3 and 5. In the 12th year of Ahaz, the king of Judah, began Hosea, the son of Elah, to reign in Samaria over Israel 9 years. And he did that which was evil in the sight of the Lord, but not as the kings of Israel that were before him. Against him came up Shalmaneser, king of Assyria, and Hosea became his servant and gave him presents. Then the king of Assyria came up throughout all the land and went up to Samaria and besieged it 3 years. And they left all the commandments of the Most High their power, and made the molten images, even 2 calves, made a grove, and worshiped all the host of heaven, astrology, all that mess. And they served Baal, they served Satan, man. Northern Kingdom, verse 17. And they called their sons and daughters to pass through the fire like abortion. They used divinations and enchantments and sold themselves to do evil in the sight of the Lord to provoke him to anger. Therefore the Lord was angry with Israel and removed them out of his sight. There was none left but the tribe of Judah only. So he removed them all out of the sight due to their wickedness. That's when they were given that bill of divorce. For he rent Israel from the house of David. They made Jeroboam the son of Nebat king, where Jeroboam drove Israel from following the Lord and made them sin a great sin. So again, this is just the history of the northern tribe. Jeremiah 3 and 8, and I saw when for all the causes whereby backsliding Israel committed adultery, I had put her away. Put her away is a term for divorce. And given her a bill of divorce, yet her treacherous sister Judah feared not, but went and played the harlot also. So I'm not just getting on Northern Kingdom like y'all was off and y'all, no, the Southern Kingdom was off too. Hosea 1, 6 through 7. And she conceived again and bare a daughter, and Ahiah said unto him, call her name Lo-Ruhamah, for I will no longer have mercy on the house of Israel, but I will utterly take them away. But I will have mercy upon the house of Judah, okay, and will save them by the Most High their power, and will not save them by bow, nor by sword, nor by battle, by horses, nor by horsemen. Okay? Ephesians 2, 11, 14, and 19. Wherefore remember that ye being in times past Gentiles in the flesh, who are called uncircumcisions by that which is called circumcision in the flesh by hands, that at that time ye were without Christ, being aliens from the commonwealth of Israel and strangers from the covenant of the promise, having no hope and without a hire in the world. So you were divorced. The northern kingdom was divorced. Okay? It says, but now in Christ Yeshua, ye who sometimes were far off, made nigh by the blood of Yeshua Christ. For he is our peace, who have made both one, hath broken down the middle wall of partition, the partition between the southern kingdom and the northern kingdom, between us. Now therefore ye are no more strangers and foreigners, but fellow citizens with the saints and of the household of Ahiah. So you can only be made a fellow citizen if you're an Israelite. You did? Romans 11, 17 through 27. And if some of the branches be broken off, thou being a wild olive tree, were grafted in among them, and with them partaketh the root and the fatness of the olive tree. So the wild olive tree is talking about the bloodline Gentiles. Okay? It says, boast not against the branches, but if thou boast, thou bearest not the root, but the root thee. Thou wilt say then the branches were broken off, the northern kingdom was broken off, like those Mormon brothers were saying, so that I may be grafted in. Well, because of unbelief, they were broken off. The idolatry, the divorce they got. And thou standest by faith. Gentiles only stand by faith. Why? Because no covenant was made with them. They have to literally believe and do the works too. Not just believe, but they don't stand by no promise was made to the Gentiles. It says, be not high-minded, but fear. For if Ahiah spare not the natural branches, take heed lest he also not spare thee. Behold, therefore, the goodness and severity of Ahiah on them which fell, severity. So in the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom, we went off, severity fell. But toward thee goodness, if thou continue in his goodness. Otherwise, thou also shalt be cut off. So this is with the danger of Christianity, because it makes people boast against the natural branches. They'll say stand by Israel one minute, but that's the wrong Israel they're standing by. Then they'll turn around and say, oh, we're Israel too. Doesn't matter who it is, as long as I believe. That's boasting. It says, and they also, if they abide not still in unbelief, shall be grafted in. So if the northern kingdom returns to the Most High, they shall be grafted back in. For God is able to graft them in again. So they were already part. That's why it says again. They were already part. So they're grafted back in. But it says, for if thou were cut off the olive tree, which is wild, but you're on the wild olive tree, which is wild by nature, and were grafted contrary to nature into a good olive tree, how much more shall these, the northern kingdom, which be the natural branches, because there are naturally Israel, be grafted into their own olive tree? For I would not, brethren, that ye should be ignorant of this mystery, that ye should be wise in your own conceits. They think they're wise, thinking that Christian doctrine, right? That blindness in part has happened to Israel until the fullness of the Gentiles be come in. And so all Israel shall be saved. So the northern and the southern kingdom that come back will be saved. As it is written, there shall come out of Zion the deliverer, and shall turn away ungodliness from Jacob. Jacob is the 12 tribes. This is who Paul's talking about. For this is my covenant unto them when I shall take away their sins. So this is the covenant. Yahshua, man. He was promised to Israel. That's when he fulfilled the law. Whose law? The Gentiles' law, the worldly law, or the Hebrew law? Romans 9:25 through 26. He quotes Hosea, which I just read. As he saith also in Ozi, which is Hosea, I will call them my people, which were not my people, and her beloved, which was not beloved. And it shall come to pass in the place that it was said unto them, ye are not my people, there they shall be called the children of the living Elohim. So this is what I'm talking about. Really what Paul is saying. They're going to be grafted back in if they come back to the truth. You know what I'm saying? Not they still dealing with idolatry. I'm trying to tell y'all. But peep this Ryan Davis thing, because
then I talk about a lot of things. I joke a lot. Everybody know that, man. I like the kid. I like to play around, but at the same time, I like to get the truth. If you notice, if your favorite comedian, whether it's Dave Chappelle, Chris Rock, Eddie Murphy, these Negroes is telling y'all the truth. They just doing it in joking form. And that's why I do a lot on my page. Maybe not so much in my videos every now and then, but that's what I do.
Life, and was able to buy some nice cars, have a nice house and everything else. And
I've been riding with them, and the cop would pull us over. And you know, the first thing that the cop would ask, what are you doing driving this car? Whose car is this? Why would they ask them that? They don't.
I'm not saying I don't like police. I'm not saying that. I'm saying I'm just scared of them. Nothing wrong with that. Sometimes we want to call them too. Somebody broke into my house once. It's a good time to call them, but I don't. The house is too nice. It ain't a real nice house, but they never believe I lived in it. Oh, he's still here. Oh my God. Open and shut case, Johnson. I saw this once before when I was a rookie. Apparently this nigger broke in and hung up pictures of his family everywhere. Well, let's sprinkle some crack on him and get out of here.
Again, you identify the tribes by the curses. So you see here, Black History Month is exposed, because if they knew, and I was upset, my daughter came home, she had a Black History Project, so I'm thinking like the Moors, at least the Moors are, the Black Romans. She's like, no, we can only go as far back, I think she said 1960. Like, that's it? Like Rosa Parks and all that stuff? Like, they wanted us to do projects when we were in servitude under the curses. But you see here, the descendants of the Chata Indians, this is Baruch 2 and 30, said that we will remember ourselves. You see here, the children in captivity, this is Deuteronomy 28 through 41. You said your children shall go into captivity. This is what it is, man. You see the curses of the battle lost, how we were losing battles, man. We had a few, not to say we didn't have a few victories, but ultimately we lost. We lost. See the curses of the field, slavery, that's Deuteronomy 28, 16 and 68. Okay, how'd they get over here? By ships. ASARETH, man. 2nd Esdras 13. The curses of the foreigners, you see, because we didn't do right by the foreigners, so it came back upon us. That's Deuteronomy 28 and 49. All right, indigenous people were rape victims, man. When you celebrate your Thanksgiving, this is what they was doing before they had their feast. They wasn't saying prayers and being thankful Christians. And when you celebrate it, this is what you're celebrating. This is Amos 5 and 21. Why he don't smell in those feasts, man. He's not in your feast. He's not there with you. So saith the higher, not me, man. You see the children in captivity, again, that's Deuteronomy 28 and 41. I think I went over that. Columbus, Christopher Christ, colonialism, Columbus, the pictures that they have, but they have the Columbus goddess. He's ruling by a sword. And again, this is why the Most High said no covenant laws in scriptures. You see them right here. This is why. Because when you're dealing with the other nations, by default, that's what happened. That we dealt with their gods. Both northern and south. This is what happened, man. So Sirach 47 and 19. 47, 21 through 22. So the kingdom was divided. Out of Ephraim ruled a rebellious kingdom. But the Most High will never leave off his mercy, neither shall any of his works perish, neither will he abolish the prosperity of his elect, and the seed of him that loveth him he will not take away. Wherefore he gave a remnant unto Jacob, and out of him a root unto David. Do y'all see what is that root? That root is Yeshaya, man. That root is Yeshaya. That's why the southern kingdom was still there. The branches that weren't broken off, man. Until of course later on, but we can be grafted back in, man. And most of the northern kingdom heard this message from southern kingdom, man. So you see here, Shalmaneser, Hebrews 8:02 went over this. He was a fire worshiper, man. He was a Syrian king who ruled, invaded the northern kingdom of Israel when the last king Hosea was on the throne. He was forced to pay tribute. And from the 8th century BC, maybe a common name it says, But again, this is when they were like, hey, we're going to go into a further land. Talk about them being carried away captive, all that, and all dates back to this, okay? I had the sources of this in the description box. This is written in the British Encyclopedia, the Britannica. So section 5, the early Meso-American tribes, the history and pre-Columbus. I mean, the black Africans that ruled Europe from 711 through 1789. You see it here, okay? These are the so-called Moors. You know, one of the ones that helped Columbus find his way here was Luis de Torres, okay? We're going to get into it. It says here, this is, I believe, from the Jewish Virtual Library of the Spanish Expulsion. It says a month earlier, the edict expelling the Jews from Spain had been published in all the public places in the dominions of the United Kingdoms of Aragon and Castile. On August 2, about 300,000 Jews, some writers consider the number much greater, which I believe too, left the country. On the next day, Friday, August 3, Columbus sailed with his 3 ships in the quest of the unknown. Among the members of the expedition, several were of Hebrew blood. Okay, of these, there were mentioned Luis de Torres, who understood Hebrew, Chaldaic, and some Arabic, and who was to serve the admiral as interpreter. So he's speaking Hebrew and riding on this boat using second Esdras. Luis de Torres, he was a Levite. Haver ben Levi is his name. Tens of thousands of refugees died while trying to reach safety. In some instances, Spanish ship captains charged Jewish passengers exorbitant sums. These are the European Jewish charging the real Israelites exorbitant sums, then dumped them overboard in the middle of the ocean. What does that sound like to you? Sound like the Atlantic slave trade, don't it? In the last days before the expulsion, rumors spread throughout Spain that the fleeing refugees had swallowed gold and diamonds, and many Jews were knifed to death by brigands hoping to find treasure in their stomachs. This is in the 1400s. So when did we hear about this in the past? I'll take you back. In the Siege of Jerusalem. Let's get it. Book of Josephus, the Jewish War, chapter 10, section 1. But as for the people, they had great inclination to desert the Romans. Accordingly, some of them sold what they had, and even the most precious thing they had been laid up as treasures by them, for even small matters, swallowed down pieces of gold that they might not be found by the robbers. And when they had escaped to the Romans, went to stool, or to make boo-boo, you did, and were withal to provide plentiful for themselves. For Titus let a great number of them go away into the country whither they pleased. And the main reasons why they were ready to desert these were, now they should be free from those miseries which they had endured in that city, and yet should not be in slavery to the Romans. Didn't the Romans enslave us? These were the ones, when you see the city surrounded by armies, they got away. However, John and Simon, Israelites, with their factions, did more carefully watch these men going out than they did coming in of the Romans. So they weren't even worried about the Romans. They was trying to knock their own off. And if anyone did not afford the least shadow of suspension of such an intention, his throat was cut immediately. So they were trying to cut and get to the Jews as well. I'm gonna get to some more of that. This is what it says in Matthew 10 and 36. And a man's foe shall be there of his own household. This is why I can't stand you coons, man. I don't believe y'all black power and you celebrating Christmas. I don't believe you black power and you worshiping white Christ. I don't believe your black power. I don't believe it. I don't believe it at all. Just like some of you Kemet, you Hotep hustlers like Polite, going from the black woman is God to now you dating a Playboy porn star or whatever. I don't believe you Negroes, man. I don't believe you Dr. Umar. I don't believe you. I don't believe you, man. Not saying that y'all don't drop any knowledge or wisdom that you have or you've learned, but I don't believe you, man. I don't believe you as a whole. I don't believe you. It said enemies will be there. It said your brothers and sisters will be the ones delivering you up. What you think gonna happen, man? These brothers is getting way too much shine in a kingdom that's supposed to be totally against what they preaching, man. Like Dr. Malachi York, he's a pedophile, man. You gonna trust being with this man with your kids in the wilderness? Like Nature Boy or something? You gonna trust your kids with and your wife around these? Do your thing, man. Stay away from mine. Book of Josephus, book 7, section 8. There were Sakari, another camp, who first began these transgressions, breaking the law, and first became barbarous toward those allied to them. So they're gonna, those that are y'all that are allied to these wicked brothers, you're gonna be the first to go. And left no words of reproach unsaid, and no words of perdition untried, in order to destroy those whom their contrivances affected. Yet did John demonstrate by his actions, yet those Sicaries were more moderate than he was himself. For he not only slew such as gave good counsel to do what was right, but treated them worse as all as the bitter enemies for that he had among all citizens. So they're gonna kill you, man. These brothers and sisters that got these organizations, whatever you want to call them, and they're talking about going to the wilderness, which we're all gonna go into the wilderness. Man, you trust these brothers? You see how wicked they are? Like some of y'all just waking up to how wicked some of these people are. All praise and glad some of you are, but some of y'all were part of these organizations. People been telling you for years, hey man, they don't believe in this, hey man, they believe this. They preach a doctrine of hatred, man. They're taking on the ways of the oppressor. So when they get you out in that wilderness, they're gonna treat you like the oppressor did if you don't get down or lay down, man. Y'all, but you know what? Some of y'all gotta feel it. Y'all not gonna hear me or anybody else say, you gotta feel it. I feel bad for you for that. Baruch 2:21, thus saith the higher, bound down your shoulders to serve the king of Babylon, so ye remain in the land that I gave your fathers. So again, when we go through punishment, we gotta take that, man. We gotta take that punishment. Okay? It's hard, yeah. Like when you're a kid, you gotta get your whooping. You gotta be grounded. You gotta do that. So you gotta go through that extra chores and this and that. That's part of growing you into a righteous person, man. 1 Maccabees 1:11. In those days went there out of Israel wicked men who persuaded many, saying, let us go and make a covenant with the heathen that are round about us. For since we departed from them, we have had much sorrow. So then you're gonna have people on the other side that's gonna be like, hey, you know, like just like in what's that thing that Egypt. You know, since we left Egypt, we missed this, we missed that. They're gonna want to go back to Babylon, the mystery religion, whatever you know what I'm saying, and they're gonna want to make a covenant with that, getting that chip or whatever it is that they got, in order to live how they were living. So here you see the ASARETH, the captivity. You know what I'm saying? We really had many captivities, man. The Assyrian captivity. Okay, and this is what it's talking about. The first Maccabees 1:11. You see Farrakhan. All these brothers is down with it, man. All these brothers, and you might want to say, well, what about, you know, the partition, the wall between Judah and Ephraim? That's gangbanging, man. That's gangbanging, not just amongst ourselves in the hood, Bloods and Crips that's black or whatever, but you got Mexican gangs in prisons warring against black gangs, man. And who profits? Who they're making 5 cents a day digging a ditch, man. And who's getting that profit? Again, there's an old African proverb that says, when two brothers fight to the death and a stranger inherits their land. So the Black Boule, you see Bill Cosby, you see Elijah Muhammad, Haile Selassie. I don't mess with none of these niggas, man. Jay-Z, you know, he got a song called Freemason with Rick Ross. Rick Ross, you know he out of there. Jesse Jackson, who invented the term African American. Brothers clear in 1985. You got Shaq. And you see how high these brothers are exalted. Just look how highly they're exalted. How high they made it to. They're not dead. All our leaders that try to do any good or any righteous, they're dead. They're killed. Tommy Strong from Martin. And when you join Freemasonry, they put you at Prince Hall. That's a second-class Freemasonry. Your brothers don't even see you on the same level as them. There's no black people in the Illuminati, man. They're puppets. Get it right. You see Carter G. Woodson, man. This is Black History Month Exposed. They don't want us to know, and I should have said this in the beginning. I might just cut this and paste it in the beginning. Conscious brother told me way years before the truth, before I knew anything about a tribe or Judah or any gospel, any Torah. Brother told me, he said, man, we really all the same people. The only thing that separate us is a boat stop. That's what he told me. It's the only thing that separate us. You know what I'm saying? He said when the conquerors first came, they drew their lines in the borders and the lands, and they made us fight. This is back to the Willie Lynch. The slaves on the east fought with the slaves on the west. Slaves on the hill fought with the slaves in the valley. The light skin, dark skin. This, you know what I'm saying? That's what it was. But we will break our neck for these Greek rituals, man. We will break our neck, man. Black Boule. So
till I'm laid in that, you know what I've been through. Some hate, never scared, I'ma get through. Every day, every way, it's an issue.
You know, this video's for you happy slaves. You know what I'm saying? Especially my people. That's definitely for you. You dig? When I first started looking into information and studying and coming into knowledge of self and the system and the matrix and everything people wanna call what we dealing with, right? You know what I'm saying? And this system, this matrix, was I was doing anonymous interviews on Yahoo. Now Yahoo's supposed to be called like Amerikka's network, you know, or at one point it was like AOL was. And if you don't think racism still exists, all you got to do is go to Yahoo, go to any story that involves anything about a black player that got in trouble, whether football, basketball, you name it, or go to a story about a white shooter. You dig what I'm saying? And look and just look and read the comments. Okay? Yes, some of them are bots, but nah, not all of them. You know what I'm saying? But when I was interviewing these white supremacists and I let them get out their rhetoric, like I'd be like, so why don't you like, you know, people of color, especially black people? And they would just list all these things, you know, you're on welfare, you're lazy, you know, all the little talking points, you know, that they love to use. And I let them get it all out, y'all, because they didn't know I was black. You know, they just thinking they in a blog. Like, I'm like, hey, I'm doing an interview for a blog, and they're in the chat room. Like, okay, cool. Not knowing I've already read their comments, right? So, and I'd be like, so what do you think the solution should be for black people? Well, they need to lift each other up, stop shooting each other, and you know, those talking points. Okay, duly noted. So once they get it all out, I start showing them black doctors, black scientists, black lawyers, black entrepreneurs, thousands of black inventors. Did you use, you know what I'm saying, did you use a ironing board today? No, a black person invented that. Did your wife, did she use a spatula? Okay, well, you know, a black girl invented that, right? You know, that's something that we invented. You know, you taking our inventions. We invented a lot of them, cell phones, the Nintendo game system. I can go on and on. They said a black man invented the internet. You dig what I'm saying? But, and that's what I try to do. You know what I'm saying? I try to open, and once they seen that, they just start getting mad because it messed with their matrix, with their view of the world. It didn't fit. It didn't fit, man. And long story short, you know, it pretty much ended after that conversation. They began to see, okay, I stepped into a trap. What you did what I'm saying? But the thing about it is this also, man, you know, when a lot of things, when I try to give information out to my own people, it gets and they're coons. Yeah, I know one of y'all had to report my coon video, man. You know what I'm saying? One of y'all had to, man. 10,000 views, you dig what I'm saying? Now I gotta resort to doing it like this. And y'all go check out that Coonology and the Black Boule video I got, man. I just posted them today. Because I made a post about Christopher Columbus, and how brothers and sisters is sitting here fighting, F Christopher Columbus Day and all these posts. But at the same time, they can't wait to celebrate Thanksgiving. And I made a post about that. Yeah, God sent me to rile you niggas up, man. Square business. He sent me to rile you niggas up. So I put the post up. I didn't even think nothing of it. I looked, it got like 300 something shares. I'm thinking this must be a mistake. But no, people sharing it. And all I see is coons on that thing. Coons. Bed winches, sambos, and tap dancers and tambourine players. Oh, well, you know, it's just about family and football. It's not about what it was made to be. Then I go to their pages. Yeah, I was petty and real nosy. I'm going to their pages,
black power. They got afros and dashikis and talking about the Amber girl that shot old boy in his apartment. So hold on, you celebrate a racist holiday that was based on racism. Yes, Thanksgiving was based on the massacre of Indians while we were colonizing those 13 colonies. Those 13 stripes on the flag represent the colonies where they had our people under the slavery system that built this entire country. And you want to celebrate that. But I'm crazy for pointing it out. But you say F Columbus Day, oh, but that day is all about family and food. So you got 52 weeks in a year. You can't pick 52 weekends in a year. You can't pick one of those weekends to do it about family and football. Yeah, you get the day off. I'm not saying go to work. I mean, y'all just going all over the board. I never said don't go to work or go to work. It's not about work. It's about you celebrating racism and then trying to fight for your people's rights. You look, man, my people look so dang silly, man. Y'all look silly as hell, man. So this brings me to my point, because I'm at work right now. You know, if y'all excuse me, I had to step outside. So much noise. I wanted to record this in the back of the warehouse, but it's just too much noise in there, man. Too much. So you got these people at my job. You got this couple. Now I didn't know they was a couple at first. You dig what I'm saying? But I treat everybody the same, from the janitor to the CEO. Everybody gets the same treatment from your OG Militian. You know what I'm saying? They don't even know I do these type of videos and stuff, man. You know what I'm saying? I'm wise as a serpent up in here, man, because I already see how they act. You know what I'm saying? When it's stuff be right in their face. So I'm gonna watch your fruits. You dig what I'm saying? But long story short, you got this dude in there, and he's pro, because I'm gonna show how gangster rap, the gangster culture that was put upon us that we didn't have originally, and how the patriotic service that we seem to love to rally behind and look down on people, we also wasn't about that. We went from getting killed by their armies to joining their armies. But let me break it down. It's a couple in there. It's a black guy and a black girl. You dig what I'm saying? The black girl, she follows everything, like she follows those love and hip hop women. And I'm not talking about just watching for entertainment. I mean, she follows these women with the long hair, the crazy colors, the tights, and I mean, she don't dress like that at work. I can't say she dressed like them, but you know, I see the influence. You know what I'm saying? I see the influence, and she tries to act hood, and she's not. She's really not even hood, and that's what makes it even worse. She's not hard at all. She tried to run that game on my in there. One of my Spanish partners, man, was good, Adrian. You know what I'm saying? She tried to run that game on him. He like, what's up? So what, you got a problem? What's good? Oh, no. But at first she, yeah. You know what I'm saying? That is a product of white supremacy. The angry black woman. That's why I don't like Tyler Perry. He has the Coon minstrel show. Go watch a minstrel show, then go watch Tyler Perry. Same lines, same everything. When I put up a video about it, Viacom took it down, and then they soft blocked it. So now it's still on my channel, but it gets no play. You know what I'm saying? It's like 40,000 something views, something like that. And then you go to the other side, her boyfriend, which I didn't even know they was a couple, because I guess, you know, like I said, I speak to everybody. I guess he must have, I was trying to push up on her. No, that's not my type, bro. I don't like no fake hood gangster female. No, I don't know. And I'm taken, you know what I'm saying? So, but even if I wasn't, I don't want her. No sanitation, you know what I'm saying? But he's black Mr. America, man. This dude be coming in there, man. If he could wear a flag, he would wear it. He one of them type of brothers. You know, our nation is of the, he probably come in this thing marching in the morning. He get here before I do. I'm pretty sure he march and salute the flag on his way in. You know what I'm saying? So, and he looked down on me, you know what I'm saying? He see me in the office, you know what I'm saying? We was only like, it's more brothers and sisters coming in, and he looked down on me, man. I done caught him at the corner, like he just be just squinty eye looking like, it's like, bro, why do you have a problem? And I guess but he'll speak to every black person that serves, so it's not necessarily he don't like black, because there's black people in here that serve. And I'm not knocking you for your service, but I'm asking you, who are you serving? This is what this thing is about. So he walk around looking at me crazy. And he don't even know who he fighting for. He don't know about the military-industrial complex. He doesn't know that these people took his identity. He doesn't know any of that. But he's so pro-American, but the same way these cops will pull me out of a car and shoot me and stomp me in the ground like they did plenty of our brothers and sisters, they would do him the same way. They don't give a damn about that bad. Don't you know it's racism in the army? So anyway, I just want to get into a couple things. I got my notes because I ain't want to forget nothing. But real quickly, real quickly, white supremacy and their accomplice, because the narrative is that white supremacy only has to do with the KKK. That's what, if you look up white supremacy through any of these major networks, they're gonna say it has to do with the KKK, right? That is a lie. Okay, white Jesus is white supremacy. There's white supremacy in the education system. We don't learn about ancient black cultures or anything that's not European. It's in the justice system. We get more time for the same crimes, even in the same state, same courtroom, same judge. It's in the banking system. We get charged more for loans. I mean, I can go on and on. The numbers do not lie, y'all. The numbers do not lie. This has nothing to do with emotion or feelings. This is the hardcore facts. Okay, so when that's why I say white. That's white supremacy, right? And it's accomplices, because the thing about it is white supremacy will one day sacrifice white people when they come in and still martial law, take your guns and tell you to get a chip. That's when you're going to realize, for my so-called white friends out there, that it's going to be a day when that's going to happen, and you're going to realize, dang, this is what the slaves went through. They got the stuff taken and they got branded and that's what they're going to try to do to you. You know what I'm saying? But an accomplice, because a lot of people say, oh, well, that was my forefathers, I ain't got nothing to do with that, that was back then, I don't feel that way, we're in a new day now, even though the same stuff is going on. You know what I'm saying? But this is a law definition of accomplice. Let me read. An accomplice, a person who knowingly, because I went to jail for this, being an accomplice. Actually, I got snitched on, but potato. A person who knowingly, voluntarily, or intentionally gives assistance to another, or in some cases fails to prevent another from the commission of a crime. Thanksgiving was founded on a commission of a crime. Commission of a crime. And it's crazy, Negroes, not only do we fight to celebrate it, we fight to eat the same nasty foods that give us heart disease and hypertension and high cholesterol and everything else. And that's also in the law of the Torah, because you got to understand that the Bible doesn't describe the chosen people as being the people that are in the land to today. Matter of fact, Revelation 2:9, 3:9 says that they're not the people. That they're not the people. They're the synagogue of Satan, according to the words of Yeshua, the Messiah, who the world calls Jesus. Jesus said that they're the synagogue of Satan. Revelation 2:9, 3:9. But the Most High said the same thing. And again, if y'all think the Bible ain't about black people, I will give you $2,000 if you look in the KJV and you find me the description of a white Jesus. Show me white people in the Bible and then show me that white Jesus. $2,000, man. I'll send it to you. And make an apology video. But Proverbs 17:15, he that justifieth the wicked and he that condemneth the just, even they both are an abomination to the Lord. So both of y'all are an abomination to the Most High Power, Ahia, the great I am of Exodus 3:14. You're an abomination. Why? Because you're justifying the wicked, saying, oh, well, it's cool, that was back then, and we're doing it for a different reason now. That's one, strike against you. Then two, you're bashing me for not celebrating it. Talking about that was back then. Isn't slavery still going on? And we still being killed by the descendants of the same people that created this holiday. We're still being killed by the Conquerors. The Conquerors are alive and well, and we're still celebrating their days. We can't pick any other weekend or look at what we did before slavery, but we're going to do it on that day and get together on that day. These holidays keep this system afloat. I keep telling y'all that. When this system, the dollar's about to collapse, but when this system when the marks are in the red for these companies, a holiday comes around. And guess what? When that holiday comes around, you don't hear nothing about us getting shot in the streets. Why? Because they want Negroes to spend that dang money. We are the golden goose. We spend the most money in America. Why would you want to anger your top customer? Jeremiah 2:11. It says, hath the nation changed their gods, which are not God, which are yet no gods? But my people have changed their glory for that which doth not profit. So you're willing to adopt their gods, you're willing to adopt their customs, and what has it done for us? What has it done for us, y'all? And I'm not talking about the ones that do it ignorantly, that don't know. That's why I do my videos and my posts like this, so that you do know. I'm not doing it to bash you. 'Cause I did it once ignorantly. I'm not one to say I was always in the truth. No, I did it ignorantly. But the thing is, when you know better, you're supposed to do better. Okay, and this has nothing to do with somebody that came into the truth with somebody of another nation. I precept Moses and Zipporah. If they're in the truth, they came in with that person, and both of them are keeping the law. Numbers 12, leave them alone, man. Leave them alone. Okay? But once you know the truth, yeah, man, stick to your peoples, man. Self-said the Most High. You got a problem taking up with the Most High. If they came in with them, they keep the law, leave them alone. Numbers 12, man. So, again, this is, man, coons are like, I agree with you, Ed. Thank you for speaking on that, on my post, which Facebook took down. Been telling y'all about the black boule for years. Starting to take down my post. But yes, coons are the worst people, man. Like this dude went up some nail shop. I forgot where it was. Somebody will comment and say where it was. Went up in the nail shop, broke out the windows. Why did he break out the windows? Because black women were getting beat and dragged out by these Chinese, these Japethite nations. Japeth is the Asian nation, the Aboriginal Asian nations. And what happened was they was dragging and beating these black women out of their nail shops. So he got so pissed off, he went and got bricks and threw them through the window. Now, before they could even put the windows back up, black women was sitting right back in there, man. But you got sisters saying brothers don't care about y'all, man. We absolutely do. Maybe the niggers you messing with don't care about you, but it's some black men that care about their people. And I'm not just getting on the sisters, because look at Sandra Bland. They killed that woman because she was making videos and stuff just like I'm doing. Sandra Bland was, if you look at some of her videos, she I don't know if she was awakened, but she was speaking on some awakened stuff, man. Square business. And when she did that, these people don't know. Come on, man, they killed her, man. They killed her. They wouldn't have paid her family off if it was an accidental death, but she killed herself. Come on, black women been getting raped, tortured, beaten, all type of devices, man. But she gonna kill herself behind a ticket? We don't commit suicide, man. That's not us. Come on, man. Not saying that we don't have people that do that, but no, man. No. They wouldn't have paid her. They wouldn't have paid her family for that, and swept that under the rug. The media swept that under the rug. You dig what I'm saying? But you know, but then you got these coons, man, like this black man caping for Donald Trump.
Of President Donald J. Trump. The media is attacking him, but when they attack him, they are attacking us. Because he is out here fighting for us. And they are harassing you, Mr. President, so they are harassing me. And I want to say one more thing here. A while back, President Trump said, when he was talking to the black community, if you vote for me, what do you have to lose? Because the do-nothing Democrats have done nothing for the black community. 2020 is around the corner. And we have a lot to lose now because President Donald J. Trump has done so much for the black community. Thank you, President Trump.
Now, y'all see this? Do y'all see this bullshit? Now, they done paid this jive-ass Corden Banks wannabe-ass nigga to stand up there and talk that shit. He loved Trump. Nigga got a dagger stay 3 blocks down the road. They never told him he loved him. But he loved Donald J. Trump. And he eating that shit up. Trump sitting up there looking like that pregnant ass hamster on Nutty Professor. Oh, orange ass, old Cheeto looking ass. And when y'all hear this shit? When they been attacking you. When they attacking us. Okay. When them boys get on your ass, don't be calling us to march. Let them hang your ass. You want to be with them, you can run with them. And this ain't about color. This is about Democrats and Republicans. If you want to be Republican, vote Republican. If you want to be Democrat, be Democrat. But don't get up there and tell no bullshit ass lie talking about what Trump done for the black people. Trump ain't done shit. Ain't gonna never do shit. He done paid your dumb ass out. What he give you, a Honda Civic? Wiped off your goddamn credit and shit. Got all that right for you. Now you want to stand up on national TV and lie. And that woman in the background bobbing her motherfucking head. Oh, dumbass wench. Got all y'all food. Then you want to come back and like everything good. Take your ass back up yonder and eat that stovetop stuff in turkey. Take your ass back up there and eat mom's apple pie. Take your ass back up there and eat that apple pie. Cause we don't want your ass no more. We through with you. And take Kanye with you.
He did this for black people. And for the record, Obama didn't do nothing either. These presidents are under that same system I'm talking about, which is white supremacy is Satanism. It exalts one nation high up and all the other nations, especially our nation, the chosen, way to the bottom. This is Psalms 83. This is what they do. And then they pit us against one another. Just like I said, that coon in there that joined the army and his coon girlfriend, our wife, that want to be a love and hip hop star. That's what happens. And when that happens, it not just in the workplace and places like this, it happens in the streets. You go to prison, black gangs against these Mexican gangs. When we got the same oppressor, we're in their prison, fighting each other. Just like we're in this prison system, fighting each other. It's the dumbest thing I ever see for two brown people or brown and black people to fight each other. Oh, you from the east side, I'm from the west side, you from the south side, I'm from the north side. Who cares, man? You on the same slave ship. Making sure, you know what I'm saying? I'm on the slave ship right now, you dig what I'm saying? So let me continue, man. So, you know, and the black women too, man, that be caping for Trump too, man. Them too. And this is why I get on Freemasonry. Like you see Trayvon Martin's dad. He was a Freemason. He sacrificed his son. This is what I'm talking about. Coons are the most dangerous people to us. Do y'all understand what I'm saying? You happy slaves? Y'all are the most dangerous people to black people that are trying to lift their knowledge, man. Like you look at the deaths of Malcolm X and Martin Luther King. The government killed him. The FBI killed Malcolm X. And the government admitted that they killed Martin Luther King Jr. These are facts. These ain't even no conspiracy theories. These are facts. They've admitted. Yeah, we did it. They never putting a name on them, but yeah, no, they did it. Because Martin Luther King, though, he came out with that dream, which I do not believe. Y'all need to wake up. But he said, we've integrated into a burning house. We're in the burning house, and y'all want to chill because y'all like the heat. I'm telling you, it's burning. You dig? So yeah, and I know y'all got mad. Some of y'all got mad at that U.S. flag post I made on July 4th. You dig what I'm saying? But the Most High refers to this nation and its teachings and its culture as dung. As dung, it says in Lamentations, those that were brought up in scarlet embrace dung hills. Dung hills is boo boo. That's what dung is. That's what he compares. Because what? Ain't this the Mystery Babylon? Scarlet, the lady that said they never lost the war. The nation said they never lost the war, never will be a widow. It says in 1 hour they're gonna be destroyed, man. It's coming, man. Y'all believe in karma but not prophecy. Y'all wildin', man. But see, when I bring up things, and it's not like it's all serious on my page. Y'all know how I get down. You know what I'm saying? I don't look down on nobody. I'm here to enlighten. That's it. Not debate, not fight, enlighten. The Moors, the African tribes, the Dark Ages, ancient feasts. People don't know nothing about none of this. Or what really happened during slavery. Y'all don't know. And y'all don't care to know. Because, and the crazy thing, it's still going on. No one thing of the past, it's still going on. If you don't know what it was, how you know when it's over? How you know? You don't know. So, you know, when you don't know about these things, this is what it is, man. And these spiritual powers, these powers that be, these satanic Luciferian rulers, they receive power from you worshiping their gods. You got to think, if they already got these slaves working for them, right? When they brought all the slaves over here and they conquered the Meso-Americans and the Aztecs and the descendants of the Mayans and all these nations that were over here, when they conquered them, why do you think it was so important to them that they worship the white Jesus and the Catholic Church? Because if you were Christian, you worship the Catholic Church. Because they're all the same holidays. Only difference is they don't call the Pope the Father. But everything else lines right up. Same holidays, same Sunday, sun worship. Why do you think it was so important to the conquerors that the slaves worship their God? They're already working for you. You got complete control over them. Because spirituality matters, man. It all starts in the spirit, man. All of it starts in the spirit. Y'all might call it vibes or energy, or you know, I got a feeling like in my gut. No, bro. Everything starts in the spirit, man. And they knew if they can get us spirit, that's what the Willie Lynch letter video is about, which YouTube tried to also take down. I made. Well, I'm just going on facts on it. That's why that video is so important, because he said if they were successful, which they were, that the effects of the Willie Lynch letter, taking our book, redoing it, taking books out and giving it back to us, that would enslave us for 300 years. And he was wrong. It's 400 years, man. Over 400. But that was their prediction. You dig what I'm saying? So again, we look at people like Nat Turner. They actually read what it said and what happened. Harriet Tubman actually read what it said. That's why they call her Moses. Who needs to be free from Pharaoh, man? So look, with that being said, man, this page is not for you happy slaves. If you're happy with Thanksgiving, if you're happy with that, but then and Christmas and 4th of July and Valentine's Day, then you think that has nothing to do with it. You're paying money to a system and stores that won't even hire you, man. And they look for these holidays to make the bulk of their money. Go do your research. Go look up all these holidays and how much these stores make. If you don't believe me, just go look it up. But this page is not for you, man. TD Jakes has pages. You can go to Brother Polite, Sonetta. You can go to Joe Osteen for all I care. This page ain't for you, man. Shalom.
Neck, man. Black Boule. So that's the only thing that separates us. Because if we would really do a real black history over hundreds and hundreds, we would realize most of us, or me, I say most, I say many of us have the same heritage, man. Went through the same curses. That goes back into who are the people, man. So part A, the Conquerors, the Spanish-Mexican War, General Jose. This is part A, the Conquerors. When this start to show how Esau began taking over the Northern Kingdom. Okay, for the record, I don't debate what tribe is which, because brothers make a good point. Oh, well, this tribe fits more like this. And I'm like, hey, well, you know, you got a point there. You know, or this tribe fits more like this. And I'm like, okay, I can see that. Some tribes be like, yeah, I agree with this tribe. But I'm not going to debate with that. I'm just northern and southern, man. And then we're going to talk about the northern. September 31, 1813, Congress with Morelos. Again, Morelos present endorsed the sentiments of the nation. This document declared Mexican independence from Spain and established the Roman Catholic religion, created the legislative, the executive, and judicial branches of government. So again, Mexicans with the mulattoes and others fought for their independence from Spain. Spain had them enslaved. So they did go through slavery. They did. But when they messed up is when they made Roman Catholic the religion, man. So they were still underneath the thumb of Esau. Do you see what I'm saying? The Roman Catholic Church. Okay? It said it abolished slavery and racial distinction in favor of the title American for all native-born individuals. You might say, hold on, this is Mexico. Yes, it is. But the term American, we don't get into it. American doesn't mean just Americas in the United States. All these lands were like called the Meso-Americas, okay? Morelos was offered the title of Generalissimo with the address of Your Highness, but refused these and asked to be called Severo de Nacion, the servant of the nation. On November 6, 1813, Congress declared independence. So again, they were fighting for slavery. It's Deuteronomy 28 and 41, okay? So just to see here for my Mexican brothers and sisters, man. And for my ones in the truth, I'm gonna get on your behind real quick. Stop fighting the Southern Kingdom, man, because the brothers in the Southern Kingdom that bash y'all, I don't deal with them either, like I said, but stop fighting us, man. Go talk to Cortez and Hernandez and all these people down the block that speak Spanish that we can't. Everybody's at my job I be speaking to, and we can only speak so much because they don't understand much English. That's who y'all need to be out there edifying, man, to see if that's a brother that was indigenous or from Spain or whatever. Either way, give him the truth. Give him a chance to see what the truth is. You see these maps, man. New Spain, man. Mexico versus New Spain. More than half of America was Mexico. Should have built the wall back then, but that's another conversation for another time. So That Blood Stay Pure by Erica L. Coleman. According to a 2013 book, That Blood Stay Pure, the term's origins can be traced to medieval Italy, where it was a classification of skin color, not race. Additionally, Europeans referred to indigenous populations of their communities as Negroes. In Portuguese colony of Brazil, Indians were called Negros de Terra, meaning Negroes of the land. So I'm getting onto the native quote-unquote Indian tribes, because in the beginning, the Indians, the Aztecs, the Meso-Americans, the Brazilians, all these nations were referred to as Negroes. So when I call Israel black, I'm talking about the indigenous. I'm not just saying black meaning Judah or black meaning Northern Kingdom. It's an umbrella term, because that's how they classified us. Okay? You can't sit here and take your Northern Kingdom and deny Africa, man. That's silly. And then for you Southern Kingdom, you can't say that it's only Africa. And then some of you just all the way off talking about everybody in Africa's a Hamite. You Negroes refuse to read books, man. It's not illegal to read anymore for you slaves, man. All of you slaves. You can read. All right, let's get it. Let me see. Dr. Coleman also asserts the year 1619 isn't entirely correct regarding the first arrival of blacks to America. She knows Negroes accompanied Spanish North American expeditions before the English arrived in Virginia. It's true. Okay, 1619 is just the official year that they had chose. But Indians were originally termed that by the conquering Europeans. It meant savages. Well, I don't like to use that term Indians. Just as they pillaged Africa, saying that because the tribal warfare were uncivilized, it did the same thing about the Native Americans. The term American originally meant copper-colored people. You see, when the Mexicans declared independence, they called themselves American. Just look 45 years, I'm gonna show some pictures. Look 45 years ago, 50 years ago, 60, you don't have to go that far back. And look at who was in Mexico, who I just showed you. My homeboy, shout out to my partner, Angelo. He said that there was a list of names of the so-called Jews or Israelites that were expelled from Spain. They all had names like that. They had more in them. Boricua, Moreno. What do we think Big Pun was talking about on that song, man? Okay, let's get it. In 1682, states like Virginia, natives were classified as Negro. Slavery ended when free slaves and Indians fight in what was called the Guerrilla Wars. That's where you get the term guerrilla warfare. I made that CD. Y'all go check out my Bandcamp, man. Guerrilla warfare, one of my older projects. And the government was forced to finally put an end to physical slavery as it was. So the Guerrilla Wars freed us, not an act from Congress. Alright? The phrase Indian giver meant someone who gave something only to take it back. The phrase was coined in 1825. Same year, the treaties like the Treaty of the Indian Spring were signed to recognize Indians' rights to their land and have peace between the natives and the Europeans. So in 1825, they signed a treaty saying, okay, this is your land, even though all the land was theirs. They signed a treaty saying, okay, this area is yours. Then in 1830, Manifest Destiny was implemented, which they called the Indian Removal Act of 1830. The same people who made the racist term Indian giver and made sports teams after their likeness. Look, the Chiefs, the Redskins, the Braves. I don't think I showed y'all. It's a video. Dude walked around with a shirt that said Caucasians on it. Had a white guy, and man, white people were offended. But they walk around with Redskins and Chiefs. I got to do that word. Love the Chiefs and don't even like my mama. Is part of that native bloodline, man. Real talk. That's why people talk about the Northern Kingdom. They look at me like, oh no, you Judah. I know you cool. No, I'm not cool with that, man. I'm not cool with you going in on our Northern Kingdom brothers, man. My mama's a Northern Kingdom. or at least got Northern Kingdom blood in the least. So let's get it. Okay, paperwork and treaties don't work with war-mongering liars. There ain't no covenant with the government, man. The Bible defines these nations as Judah and Gad. You know, to most people, they define them as Gad, and they do fit the prophecies of Gad. Okay? They will fight against their oppressors for freedom. This is Genesis 19 that says that, which I read to the Mormon brothers, okay? But Psalm 55 and 21, the words of his mouth were smoother than butter. That's those contracts and those treaties. But war was in his heart. His words were softer than oil, yet they drawn swords. So again, this goes back to the brother was saying to me earlier before the troop about the boat stop. The boat stop didn't just stop over here though. There was boat stops overseas, okay? And again, you know, Donald Trump, perfect example of white supremacy. Doesn't mean that he just cool with everybody white. He don't like you regular white people either, man. You see, and even some of those so-called elitists, he's not that it's not peace, but the difference is it's like this. When like America, the free American white English fought the British for their quote-unquote independence, they were still oppressing people of color. Even after that, if you notice, the so-called white man got less and less rights. Look at the rights they had back in 1600 and 1700 versus now. Like Donald Trump done removed, I think, large magazines from New Jersey. Can't even get a large magazine anymore. For the rifle. So y'all just peep game. So the enslavement of Gad, Native Americans, part B, she said, had themselves been enslaved even before African Americans. The two groups were enslaved for approximately 150 years in tandem. It wasn't until the mid-18th century the bondage of Native Americans began to wane as Africans were imported in greater and greater numbers. So yes, the Native Americans went through slavery, man. If slavery is your basis and you say, oh, you're Judah because of slavery, we're not the only ones though, man. If you're gonna be honest, the kingdom went through the same slaves, the same slave trade by the same people, man. Increasingly were white colonists viewed as Africans as a little more or less than mindless beasts of burden. They saw Native Americans as something more noble, savages, unrefined but courageous and fierce. So, you know, they respected them a little bit more. That's all they're saying, really. So perversely, Native American ownership of black slaves came about as a way for Native Americans to illustrate their societal sophistication to white settlers. So the Native Americans started cooning. Long story short, started cooning because they got a little bit of an edge. It's how they do. It's like right now, they're giving, you know, the Northern Kingdom a little bit of an edge. They can come over and get social benefits and food stamps and this and Section 8 when blacks has been here that really need it, you know, can't get it as easily. But it doesn't mean that they like them more than us. They're just still putting that wedge. Like, I'm going to give them a little bit of advantage to keep us at odds with each other. They were working hard to comply with the government that dictates, that told Native people in order to be protected and secure in their land base, they had to prove their level of civilization. Miles explained, slave ownership was a serious status symbol. None of this lessens the very real hardship endured by Cherokees and other Native Americans compelled to abandon their homelands as a result of the Indian Removal Act. Signed into law in the spring of 1830, the bill had been rigorously debated in the Senate, where it was endorsed with a 28-19 vote that April, and the House of the Representatives, where it prevailed 102-97 that May. Despite a sustained courageous campaign on the part of John Russ to preserve the people's property rights, including multiple White House visits with Jackson, in the end, the influx of white settlers and economic incentives made the bill's momentum insuperable. All told, the process of the removal claimed more than 11,000 Indian lives, 2,000 to 4,000 of them Cherokee, and it was way more. Those numbers are minuscule compared to who was killed. There was slavery in the Americas before the Europeans arrived. They want to say, okay, the natives owned slaves, and which again they did, but they did it as a status symbol to show, hey, I can be just like you, you know, white settlers. So they would own slaves and trade them. I did not see where there was the same rape, same pillage, same torture, cotton fields, all that. I didn't see that. I seen where they were cooning and trying to get a place among the white settlers. But in reality, again, back to the guerrilla wars, we fought alongside them in order to gain our freedom, which I'm gonna get into. But this is what I'm saying though. The Native Americans also owned slaves before the Europeans arrived. So let's get it. Native North Americans took captives during wars with other tribes and forced them into small-scale slave labor. Captives were also traded back to their tribes in captive exchanges. But large-scale slave labor and slaveholding was unknown to Native Americans before the Europeans arrived. So as you can see, just like in Africa, again, going back to that stuff I read earlier, when they seen the tribes were beefing with each other, they like, oh, these guys are savages. They don't have any peace. So we're going to come in and take them all out. Donald Trump, and I quote, said, we tamed a savage land. This is what he's referring to, the war between the indigenous tribes, just like as in Africa. And this is my thing. These people were speaking Hebrew. They were wearing fringes. They were keeping many of the laws and the customs that we kept over in Israel and in Africa. The same things. But because they're over here, they want to say, oh, they're this and they're that. No, these people fit Israelite customs and the curses. Customs and curses. Okay, so that's just in a nutshell. I can go deeper, but this thing is already long enough. So the dolls rose. It may be fashionable to play Indian now, but it was also trendy 125 years ago when people paid $5 a piece for falsified documents declaring them natives on the dolls rolls. These so-called $5 Indians, this is a real term, $5 Indians paid government agents under the table in order to reap the benefits that came with having Indian blood. So they paid them $5 under the table. They Indian, now they can get some of the small reparations and land that was really due to the Indians, if not more. But Jeremiah 50:7, this is what they said. All that found them have devoured them. And their adversaries said, we offend not, because they have sinned against the Most High, the habitation of justice, even the Lord, the hope of their fathers. So they saying, well, shoot, these people that sinned, they done do this, they doing this to their brethren. They doing this to their brother, so naturally it's okay for, and that's what white supremacy has taught through Manifest Destiny, and they have put that in the schools in July 4th and everything else, that nothing that they did was wrong, or their forefathers, did was wrong. So when you agree with the wickedness of your forefathers, for you Gentiles, after hearing the truth about it, and you still decide to ride with that, then that's when it comes upon you, because now you know the truth concerning it. You're still celebrating death. So pater definition, and pater comes from pater, patriot, patriotism, paternal, also fraternal, and patrice means a person's father, because patriotism is a religion. Okay? And Antipater was Herod the Great's father. This is Antipater, the Idumean. What did Herod the Great do? He killed everybody in Israel that was below 2 trying to look for Yasha. So they're about war, they're about destruction, they're about death. They're speaking the forefathers, and they taught the seeds to be that. You know, it's a generational thing, and it goes on and on and on. This is why in Amos, I believe 1:11, it says, because he kept a perpetual hatred. This hatred goes on. So Leviticus 25:46, this is where the Indians and also us in Africa went off. This is where we went off by dealing with our brethren. We going off dealing with our brethren today. Brothers make tracks about killing their brethren, but let them make like when NWA made that F the Police, that was a federal investigation. But they can make 18 albums about blowing a nigga head off, right? Look, it says, and ye shall take them as an inheritance for your children after you, to inherit them for a possession. Talking about the nations around us, all those nations on that map. They shall be to you for your bondmen forever. But over your brethren, the children of Israel, ye shall not rule one over another with rigor. So I said the brother will have an evil eye against his brother. Again, that's breaking the law. We broke the law. So that's why the curses came upon us, man. Including the northern tribes. So you see the Indian giver definition. So they took the land, and when they wanted it back, they were called an Indian giver. It's like they made us work for free for hundreds of years. Then when we ask for something back, for some reparations, we lazy. You know, it's always a flip. You see Judge Judy in a higher position than her bailiff, man. We were the judges of the earth, man. And we will be that again. Okay, Dawes Act 1, you see that it started with the bill signing, because you gotta understand, Esau, even, and I'm speaking of the white supremacists ruling the top elites, they ruled through the pen, man. The pen is mightier than the sword, because the pen will send a sword to war. The pen will even order more swords or guns or whatever, right? So they sign it into legislation, and you see the legislative result, right? Then you see the mental conditioning that comes from that. That's why I keep showing y'all these pictures with these indigenous American faces. You gotta understand, all these was called Negro. When brothers and sisters are saying it's Indian in my family, not all of them are just saying it as trying to be trendy. Man, a lot of us really do. You know what I'm saying? A lot of us really do. All you gotta do is look into the family history. That's why when these conscious Kemetic brothers say we was here first, they not lying, man. But we destroyed for a lack of knowledge. So back to the Gullah Wars, the first of 3 Gullah, and also called Geechee Wars. A lot of rappers, and you see brothers in the South run with the term Geechee. You know, that's not just a cool term. If you understand what it's saying, Geechee is when we literally fought our way to some form of freedom, okay? It's recorded as occurring from 1817 to 1818. The Second War followed from 1835 to 1842. The third from 1855 to 1858. And really, these were hundreds of years. There's at least 100 years of this. This is a small estimate. The Gullah or Geechee people who fought in these wars were an amalgamation of our indigenous black people from the southeast portion of the U.S., Africans forcibly brought to America during the European slave trade, and enslaved Africans. They said embarrassed by their defeats, okay, and fears that those still enslaved will ultimately join the ranks of these self-liberated Africans, the United States government downplayed the gravity of these military engagement and disguised the wars they fought against these black people by calling the conflicts the Seminole Wars or Indian Wars. Okay, these were slaves that linked up with the Indians and fought. And if you look through history, this is a little quick jewel for you. You look through history, the Indians and the slaves that owned guns, they messed with them less. They didn't just run up on them. That's why Christ said, if you don't have a sword, sell your cloak and buy one. Real talk. Okay? But the Americans knew who they were actually fighting against. Seminole, Cusabo, Guali, Apache, Timoconus, Calusa, Tequesta. These are Indian tribes. They say Seminole probably derived from the Creek word Seminole, meaning separatist or runaway. The name may also have derived from the Spanish Cimarron, meaning wild. Okay? It was the self-emancipated Africans who fled their enslavers and lived in autonomous communities in Florida. You see all these stuff in Florida. Shout out to my Florida Israelites, man. My brother Tommy Truth and his wife. Shout out, family. You already know about this. I gotta put them on it, man. All praise to Ohio. But they don't know about our people, man. The first to be called Seminole by Europeans, Africans, they define Seminole to mean a domesticated animal who escapes to a wild existence. Albeit some reconstructionist historians contend the name Seminole is actually etymology related to name the Moor and melanated people responsible for bringing into existence the European Renaissance. Okay, so that's when the Renaissance, they started whitewashing everything, man, for real. Moreover, during the second so-called Seminole War, the American General Thomas Sidney Jessup wrote a letter to the maniacal self-appointed Indian killer Andrew Jackson, who's on your 20. Concept the Indian killer. Just showing you the racism. You wonder why it's so racist today. People ask me all day since I put that post. It was a long time ago. You wonder why it still continues today is because it never stopped, man. It never stopped. Andrew, you get a $20 bill. Andrew Jackson warning him and his colleagues this may be assured as a Negro, not an Indian war, and if it be not speedily put down, the South will feel the effects on their slave population before the end of next season. This is in the letter he wrote in 1837, December 8th. Alright, so Genesis 49, 8, 19. Judah, thou art he whom thy brothers shall praise. Thy brethren shall praise. Thy hand shall be in the neck of thine enemies. Thy father's children shall bow down before thee. Gad, a troop shall overcome him, but he shall overcome at the last. This is the Guerrilla Wars, man. So again, let's get into some word definitions. Hispanic is from Latin Hispanicus, from Hispania means Spain. Okay, it literally means, in layman's terms, you're owned by Spain. You're Hispanic. You're part of Hispania. Okay, Hispania. Origin of Latino. The term Latin America was first coined by South Americans in France in the mid-19th century, and then by the French as Amerikkka Latine during the time of the French intervention in Mexico in 1860s. It is a combination of the European word Latino and the new word America. Latino, which in Spanish means Latin, but in English is probably the shortening of the Spanish word Latino Americano, refers more exclusively to the persons of communities of Latin American Spanish-speaking origin. Of the two, only Hispanic can be used into referring to Spain and its history and culture. So Spanish wasn't the language spoke by the Aboriginal people here. A lot of Mexicans, they want to claim Spanish, and Venezuelans and all this, Spanish that, we don't speak no English. Back when I was in school, they were saying this. This is back like, man, how old was I, man? This is probably like 15 years ago I'm talking about, right? Maybe 20. That's what they were saying, right? That wasn't your original language though. American, this again, I went over this. The noun, a native citizen of the United States, American, one of the Aboriginal peoples discovered in the Western Hemisphere by Europeans. So they came over here and gave you a name, then adopted it for themselves. The same thing did Israel. They went to Israel, called themselves Israeli. They kicked out the Ashkenaz, called themselves Ashkenazi. This is a common, many times I can show you. The $5 Indians, you see what I'm saying? They attack a culture, remove that culture, and claim it for themselves. This is the Doctrine of Discovery, man. That's what it's called. So in the sense, resident of North America, the original sense, it now means resident of North America. So, but it says here, pertaining to the Western Hemisphere and its Aboriginal inhabitants. Okay, like I told you before, it means copper-colored people. Okay, so we're gonna end this out a little bit. So part C, the OLMEC tribe. The mysterious Olmec civilization located in Mexico. Now you gotta understand these dates. Everybody has different dates, but just understand this is the first people found over here. Prosper in pre-classical formative Meso-America from 1200 BC to 400 BC. This is generally considered the forerunner of all subsequent Meso-American cultures, including the Maya and Aztecs. So this is before they were called Aztecs and Mayas, they were Olmecs. Okay, you see the cover I got, right? So with their heartlands in the Gulf of Mexico, now the states Veracruz and Tabasco, Olmec influence and trade activity spread from 1200 BC, even reaching as far as present-day Nicaragua. Monumental sacred complexes, massive stone sculptures, I'm gonna show y'all some of them, ball games, the drinking of chocolate, and animal gods were all features of the Olmec culture, which would be passed on to those peoples who followed this first great Meso-American civilization. So in my notes I have here, I brought out one of my first videos in 455 AD. This is 1037 years before Columbus. A Buddhist monk, Hugh Shin, sailed to a land he called Fushang, a land we now call America. He reported the people on the lands as similar to the habitation of Mexico. He noted his travels in a book called the Book of Liang by Yao Silian, again, in the description box. So you see here the ancient Mexico map again of 1794, and you see here the ancient Olmec tribe. So they was already doing trade. This is how Columbus even got wind of them. Okay, this is how it all happened. They knew who was over here. They didn't just pop up over here looking for spices. He used second address to get here. Okay, so the Aztecs, part D. The Aztec language was Nahuatl, not Spanish. I might be saying that wrong, but Nahuatl or something. Nahutu, something like that. Put it up there for you. But it wasn't Spanish, y'all. It was the dominant language in central Mexico by the mid-1350s. Numerous Nahuatl words borrowed by the Spanish were later observed into the English as well, including chili, avocado, chocolate, coyote, guacamole, and so forth. In 1428, under the leader Izcotal, the Aztec formed a three-way alliance with the Texcoans and the Tacubans, to defeat the most powerful rivals for influence in the region, the Tepeyac, and the conqueror of the capital of Azcapotzalco. His successor, Montezuma I, who took power in 1440, was a great warrior who was remembered as father of the Aztec Empire. By the early 16th century, the Aztec had came to rule over 500 small states and some 5 to 6 million people, either by conquest or commerce. Tenochtitlan, at its height, had more than 140,000 inhabitants and was the most densely populated city ever to exist in Meso-America. So these are the Aztecs. So when you see the Northern Kingdom brothers looking at the Mayans and the Aztecs and wearing on the shirts, you're trying to get back to your forefathers, man. You need to research it. Is that your forefathers? Are you part of that tribe? But this is the history. This is the history, man. It dates back to Second Esdras and everything else. So the Aztec region, the faith shared by many Aztecs with the Meso-American regions, notably included the rite of human sacrifice. So this is when they went off. And because they went off, a lot of brothers will say, oh, they wasn't Israel. You got to remember, all of Israel went off doing this. First and Second Kings, we were sacrificing, killing our babies too, man. Okay? But did the curses come upon them? That's the question, because Gentiles did this too. The curse didn't go upon them though. Okay? It said they had devotion to many Aztec gods, including Huitzilopochtli, the god of war and of the sun. They worshiped in the sun. The Quetzalcoatl, the feathered serpent, and America's called the feathered serpent. That's where that word comes from, Amerikkka. A Toltec god who served many important roles in the Aztec faith over the years. The Great Temple, the Temple Mayor, the Aztec capital. Tenochtitlan was dedicated to Huitzilopochtli and Tlaloc, and the rain god. Okay, Amerikkka again means the plumed serpent. So you see Deuteronomy 4:28 and 28:64, worshiping gods of wood and stone. Okay, who us nor their forefathers had known. Okay, Huitzilopochtli, hummingbird of the south, our blue hummingbird on the left, was one of the most important deities in the Aztec pantheon. For the Mexica, he was the supreme god. He was the god of the sun and of war. So just like Ra's the sun god in war, they're doing the same thing. Look at all these pyramids I've been showing y'all. Okay, they're worldwide. Okay, we kept the ways of Egypt even as the northern tribe came over here. I'm speaking we because I connect with my true northern tribe brothers, man, and sisters. Okay, so considered the patron of the Aztec capital and associated with gold warriors and rulers. His calendar name was Sitchipilla, or one flint, and his Nagal or animal spirit was the eagle. Okay, so you see here, Amerikkka, again, serpent worship, dates all the way back to Sumer. Okay, you see Aztec Mexico, you hear with the large head. These are the large heads that they found when they came over here. You see early Mexico, again, the map was half of the US. See here, right, this picture, the king was black, looked like a black guy. You would, just like I said, this is how it happened, man. They whitewashed even the northern tribes, especially whitewashed them. Okay, and it goes back to that feathered serpent worship that they was dealing with. And you see here the pyramid I was talking about. Okay, and again here with the pyramid structure. Okay, because they, again, just like we did in Egypt, when we went to the wilderness dealing with the Egyptian gods, the sun, the host of heaven, which it speaks about over and over. I spoke on that in my code video. I'm not gonna go into it again. Y'all can go watch that, but that's what it is, man. It's the same pattern over and over, and the curses kept falling upon us, and we kept doing the same thing. Okay, so European invasion, the fall of the Aztec civilization. The first European to visit Mexican territory was Fernando Hernandez de Cordoba, who arrived in Yucatan from Cuba with 3 ships and about 100 men in early 1517. Cordoba's report on his return to Cuba prompted the Spanish governor there, Diego Velázquez, to send a larger force back to Mexico under the command of Hernan Cortez. In March 1519, Cortez landed at the town of Tabasco, where he learned from the natives of the great Aztec civilization, then ruled by Moctezuma II. In November 1519, Cortez and his men arrived at Tenochtitlan, where Montezuma and his people greeted them as honored guests according to the Aztec custom. The same way the Indians let them in, the same way the Africans let them in, the same way the Aztecs let them in. Read Lamentations 4. We need to stop letting them in as far as letting them rule. That's the whole congregation thing. When they say they should not be in a congregation because we so friendly, we let them in and we let them have rulership. When they never let us in their congregation, or let us have rulership. Okay? Though the Aztecs had superior numbers, their weapons were inferior, and Cortez was able to immediately take Montezuma and their entourage of the lords hostage, gaining control of the Tenochtitlan. The Spaniards then murdered thousands of Aztec nobles during a ritual dance ceremony, and the Montezuma died under uncertain circumstances while in custody. European diseases like smallpox and measles were also powerful weapons against the local population. Okay, y'all peep gang? Who lacked immunity to them. A Franciscan monk traveling with Cortez observed the impact of smallpox on the Aztec. They died in heaps. In many places it happened that everyone in the house died, and as it was impossible to bury the great number of the dead, they pulled the houses down over them, so that their homes became their tombs. By 1520, smallpox had reduced the Tetralican population by 40% in just 1 year. So Deuteronomy 28:60, moreover, he will bring upon thee all the diseases of Egypt, which thou was afraid of, and thou shalt cleave unto thee. So you see here, moving forward, the Mexican labor, man, it really holds up a big part of this economy, man. Okay? You see this is from a book called The Rocks Cry Out. See these Mexican Egyptian artifacts. How did they get these? Why would Mexicans, Aboriginal Mexicans, be dealing with Egyptian artifacts, man? See what I'm saying? And falling under the same curses that we fell under in Egypt and after Egypt. So you see here, any ideology outside of scripture is slavery. It will lead to slavery. It will lead you to bondage. This is why the Gentiles, when they come into it, they say we've inherited lies. So the ones that are called by his name, the heathen or the proselytes called by his name, they're going to wake up to this. So Israel, we supposed to be that light to them. Include Southern and Northern Kingdom. Northern Kingdom, I need y'all to step up, man. You know what I'm saying? Y'all women being exploited. Y'all getting drugs pushed in y'all community too. Stop glorifying and edify the people, man. Edify your people. Okay, so we're gonna get into a couple other regions and finish this out. But Part E, California, Califia is a part of California history, and she also reinforces the fact that African Americans, or so-called blacks or Negroes, had always been in California. Califia is a part of California history, and she also reinforces the fact that when Cortez named this place California, he had 300 black people with him. Okay? And throughout the whole Spanish-Mexican War, 40% of the population was black. Okay, you see here, Meso-American history. And now who do they have? They have Wiz Khalifa. Okay, this is where he get his name from, man. California, man. Okay? So you see here, Part F, other regions and territories. So Fat Joe's claims all music is African and says Caribbean Latinos are black. He's absolutely, he's correct. But you gotta understand, when you're as high as him, they allowing him to say that. Because again, like I said, videos in the past, these Satanists don't believe that, well, they believe that if they tell you things and still be able to do what they do, they're free from sin because they told you. You know what I'm saying? This is why they have movies about the end of the world and World War III, and they've been having movies from True Lies to Rambo to Bruce Willis about these foreigners, quote unquote foreigners by kingdom, coming over and bombing the U.S., doing this to the U.S. And in reality, that's what they're orchestrating. They feel like, hey, we told you, even though it was a subliminal. Like, look how many subliminals they had about 9/11 before it actually happened. He wasn't paying attention. He was asleep. So they letting Fat Joe tell about it, like he told about the rap gay mafia. They allowed him to do that, okay? Because if you did that without getting a pass first, he'd be laying 6 feet, man. Okay, and you see here the PR history of Dr. Jose Celso, okay? This is a Puerto Rican brother here, okay? And read a little bit on him. Dr. Jose Celso Barbosa was a Puerto Rican physician, sociologist, and political leader known as Puerto Rico as the father of statehood for the Puerto Rico movement, which Puerto Rico just means Puerto Riches. They named all these lands, they named the people after what they named it. This is what they do, okay? His birthday, July 27th, an official holiday, and named the post office for him. Barbosa was the first Puerto Rican to earn a medical degree. Okay, he was born in 1857 in the city of Bayamon. Sound like Benjamin, don't it? Puerto Rico, the parents of African and European ancestry. He received his primary and secondary education at Puerto Rico's prestigious Jesuit seminary. So again, going back to dealing with the Catholicism. You see how Esau has his hands in everything? Okay? Where he was the first racially mixed student to attend. After graduating from the seminary, Barbosa tutored private students to save money to attend college. But you see this brother's picture. He doesn't like the Puerto Ricans that are shown to us on TV, right? Which again, Israel is a speckled bird, man, as it says in Jeremiah. But you see here the Puerto Rican stones. Okay, they got plenty of them. They actually found 800 stones with Hebrew writing in Puerto Rico. This is block Hebrew. If you found this in Africa, you would be like, oh yeah, whoever had these stones was Hebrews. But because it's over in the New World, brothers they want to deny it. But they found it anywhere else in Africa, they wouldn't say that. You can't do it like that. These are artifacts, man. You gonna argue with what's literally written in stone? And Brazil, you know, Brazil's indigenous people. You got people that don't understand a lot of things in Brazil. They got stuff named the Negro River. A lot of stuff is named for the people that was there originally. Just like a lot of the areas in America is named after Indian people. Like Dakota is the name of an Indian population. And the burning of the Amazon that gave the indigenous people back the land only to burn it. Okay? Our salvation isn't going to come from government. I'm going to keep telling y'all that, man. Okay, in Papua New Guinea's Gogadala people in grass skirts and their bodies decorated with palm leaves, body paint, feathers, shells, and other accessories, and with one man with barnacle goggles singing Shema, the holiest of Hebrew prayers. Shema Yasharala, Alahaya Anawa Ahaya Akkad, the Lord our God is one. You understand what I'm saying? They singing that in Hebrew, okay? They found these brothers and they call them Guinea. Don't y'all remember in the Kunta Kinte movie when the coon was calling Kunta Kinte Guinea man?
Well, good Guinea man. Good Guinea man. Good Guinea man. Now Master give you a new.
So you got to connect the dots. I can only put it out there for you. Got two more to get through. White Southerners it's about Hawaii. White Southerners who settled Hawaiian Islands during the 19th century had a song about the native people which ran, "You may call them Hawaiian, but they look like niggers to me." Setting aside their bigotry, the Southern settlers hit upon a fact which is studiously ignored by modern anthropologists and historians. The native of Hawaii, America's 50th state, were black people whose ancestral roots extended back to the continent of Africa. Who are y'all talking about Hawaiians can't be Israelites? The ones they show us on TV are the ones I'm reading about here. You think you're gonna get the truth from watching TV, man? What type of generation is this? In time, these black settlers developed very advanced societies that sent navigators to explore the various islands of the Pacific Ocean. They reached such places as New Guinea, Fiji's, New Hebrides, New Zealand, and the Society Islands, Tahiti, Easter Island, and thousands more. So those people in those islands, those black people, those are most likely the ones that fell under these curses are Israelites, man. People ain't just saying this just because, they might be saying because they heard somebody saying, but I'm showing you it did come from something factual. Okay? So here you see the Philippines, the indigenous people with a hunter-gatherer background of the Philippines, along which the Ageta, Ayeta, Ati, Ata, and Batak are collectively referred to as Negritos. They represent the most ancient civilization in the country. So again, Negritos, you see the pattern. And the reason it's like, oh, well, black, you got people that are African that are black, or other, you know, I'm not saying that black skin and dark eyes and coarse hair make you an Israelite. That's not the thing. But there are certain markers, certain physical markers that we can see. And also, if you understand, if you call a African, a Hamite, a bloodline African, a black, he's not gonna like that. They take that as an insult. They call you, and they will call you an Abid over there. An Abid meaning slave. That's the Arabic word for slave. Same thing in India. They call them the Sidis. Sidis was a word for slave. So again, that it connects back to the curses. So if you're not going to look into the curses and the history and the scriptures that where brothers is getting all this information from, of course you're not going to understand the confusion. But Azareth is not Africa, you know what I'm saying? And we got to look at this from the historical and the Hebraic and a scriptural point of view. All right, so with that being said, man, shalom to y'all. We got the I believe the Feast of Dedication coming up. You know what I'm saying? All praise to the Most High, Shah. May y'all keep everything intact with the mind yourself that you do have, and with all that get understanding, man. Keep growing in this knowledge. This isn't even the area where I'm done with. This is an ongoing study for me, but even that took months just to bring out to y'all, because I just wanted to make sure it was right. But again, like, subscribe, share. Also, late announcement, the new album Elephant in the Room is out. Y'all go cop it. It's free. Of course, if y'all want to give, then so be it. If not, man, my feelings ain't hurt, man. But go ahead and jam the album, man. They tried to block it when I first dropped it, but it's out now. We're looking to do some real things with AP Beats, Real Judah Black label. And with that being said, man, shalom and shalom, man. Peace be upon you and blessings, man. Shalom.
See, the problem I got with y'all niggas, for the most part, is you glorifying the curse. You glorifying our downfall. Glorifying our demise. Rise up, my niggas. Mob era, royalty, blood, pallbearers, custom casket pillows filled with soft feathers who cause terror. Revolvers and small berettas, the ways of all press. Boys that compress you with heat, no car compress. Gangsters found dead on their front lawns for large measures. U-turn dons amongst depths got set. Judges giving niggas 25 years to call metal. Heart tremor, sending they wife either scarlet letters. Black Indian system handed millennials. Pack cinemas, a past literature for that package Bolivian. Childhood friends change over cash, amphibian, like Uncle Phil's amphibians. It ain't a man innocent, that's serious. Nothing sweet but facts and sin. Treated worse than Palestinians. X on our lineage. Yours nappy-headed Sicilians. Leviticus, Luis Torres, Herod Ben Levi, indigenous. Expendos, Vacos, and large choppers. Once you watch us, block full of problems. This ain't a game you could bet. Vs.Gentiles, from Godfather to God, I will pray all Father. Expendos, Vacos, and large choppers. Bunch of watchers, block full of problems. This ain't a game you could bet. Vs.Gentiles, from Godfather to God, I will pray all Father. From Romans and Colosseums, from boats in the mausoleum. Now the holiday time, and our culture mean robbing season. Keep an eye on your partner, see him. Wifey spotted stock in the DM. Loyalty get lost in translation, talking Caribbean. Got a real thugs, and plus them cops walk in the precinct. Apples off